Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. We are presented by Southern Bank of Tennessee, your bank for small business. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, the Mouseketeers, as I guess we've been come to.
I like Drake and Josh better.
Drake and Josh. We're broadcasting live from the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. The Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Having some fun transitioning from DVD here to Stillman and Company. This is our final show of the week. Jared will be back tomorrow for his usual time, 2 to 6. But we have a fun show planned for you today. ESPN has released their NFL offseason grades. Where did the Titans end up? We'll get to that in this first hour. We will also complete our week-long NFL preview with the AFC and NFC South. Also, SEC Media Days coming up starting on Monday in Atlanta. We'll look ahead to those. Who do we want to hear from, and what can we expect to see from the two in-state programs, Vanderbilt and Tennessee, and much more, including Connor trying to avoid a sweep, and where are they now coming up at 5 o'clock?
I need to know that the heart of America is with me this week.
Yeah.
I feel like a 16 seed. We're playing Duke in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
I feel like I'm the villain, but I look forward to defending my title at 5 o'clock.
I need a Cinderella story today. It's going to happen.
The text line needs to get behind you. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Our phone lines, as always, are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's start with our headlines today. Connor Newt, go ahead.
Okay, so I was watching more of Quarterback last night. I got 2 more episodes in, so I'm about halfway done with the season. I got to the episode where we'd see Jared Goff, of course, is one of the quarterbacks that they depict in the series. And Jared Goff, of course, is for the Lions. The Lions played the Titans in a game we all know resulted in a beatdown. Jared Goff had some words for the Titans on multiple occasions. I don't have the clips with me, so I'll just tell you what he said. But he said at one point, the Titans were coming onto the field, and he said, coming into this game, I thought this team was one of those teams that's got a bad record, but a good team. No, they just kind of suck. I was like, wow.
Yeah, the Titans cut plenty of strays in this season at quarterback.
And then later they finished the game, and it shows Jared Goff on the bench talking to, I think it was Ben Johnson. And he said, we know as the Lions how it feels to be on that side of things, to struggle and to not have, the support of your fan base. He's like, I can't say I feel bad for him. I'm like, what?
It's tough. I mean, the Titans had a rough year, and I didn't really expect quarterback to really include all that much of the Titans, because the Lions game was over before it even got started.
Oh, yeah.
And the Bengals game was one of the ugliest games in NFL history, with all the penalties and all the turnovers. So I kind of didn't think either of those were going to be all that heavily featured. I've been proven wrong, as clips have gone viral from both of those games already of Jared Goff and Joe Burrow.
I mean, it's one of those, like, usually you watch these shows and you're like, hey, there's the Titans. They're on TV. They're on the documentary. This time I was like, oh.
I know, usually when the
Titans
faced the team on Hard Knocks, like a couple years ago, when the Titans played the Dolphins while they were doing the in-season Hard Knocks and had the big comeback, I hadn't watched any of that season, but I went out of my way to watch that episode because I wanted to see how they covered it. I will not be doing that for any of the quarterback ones. I will.
Do you like Hard Knocks?
I used to. I think it's gone downhill a little bit.
I think it's the same thing every year.
Right. It's all they focus on these undrafted free agents who have good stories, who always get cut at the end of the season.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Parker Kelly, good afternoon. What is your headline today?
Good afternoon. I'm going to piggyback off your theme from yesterday for gym etiquette, although this isn't really etiquette. It's more so just a pet peeve of mine. So I was working out late last night, and there was this guy that came in. He's super jacked, probably like a bodybuilder type, and he was on the elliptical machine. I'm like, okay, great. He's getting his cardio in. Well, I was back in this morning, absolutely ripping some dumbbell bench press, and he comes back in, and guess where he goes? The elliptical machine. Every time I see this guy in the weight room, and this is no slight to him because I don't know the guy, but every time I see him, he's on the elliptical machine. I'd never see him lifting a weight, but yet he's yoked.
Maybe that's something we should all learn from. Maybe we all need to be on the elliptical more often.
That the key? Is that the key? Just on the elliptical 24/7?
It could be.
Or he's on Ozempic. You never know.
That is a build muscle, though.
Yeah, well, it loses fat. It doesn't. Yeah, you're right.
So,
Have they created reverse Ozempic?
yeah,
where...
can we get? I think that's called steroids.
Yeah.
Which is illegal.
Steroids they're legal, right? You just can't. It's
Just not for pro athletes.
right. Yeah, you can't use it if you're going to compete in some sort of sport.
So if I come in next week and I'm
just
300 pounds of absolute muscle, will anyone
We know
blink
what
an eye?
happened.
yeah, you start losing your hair and your head grows a size and a half.
And my heart.
You're gonna look like Barry Bonds. I will finish up headlines with a plea to New York Yankees manager Aaron Boone, who is managing the All-Star game this year, because the managers of the teams who were in the World Series last year, they get to manage the All-Star game the next year. There are rumors that he is going to name his own pitcher, Max Fried, the starter for the AL. I am begging you to pick the actual best pitcher in the league in Tarek Skubal.
Please.
He was absolutely screwed out of it last year by Bruce Bochy and the Rangers. I don't know why they picked Corbin Burns last year, but for some reason Corbin Burns started. Tarek really wants to start it. In fact, he said that if he doesn't start it, he's just not going to pitch in the All-Star game. I'd like to see him pitch in the All-Star game. So do the right thing. Let the best pitcher in the universe start the
They
All-Star
should make
game.
that a rule. Like, you can't.
It should be picked by somebody other than the manager, because I do get it for Aaron Boone of like, what's it going to say to his own player if he chooses somebody else over Max Fried?
Right.
Like, it puts Aaron Boone in a really tough spot. So I don't get why they give him the choice to do that.
That's when Manfred needs to step in and say, hey, the NL starter is Paul Skeens, the AL starter is Tarek Skubal.
Or let the fans vote for it.
Yeah.
Like, let the players decide the pitchers like they already did, but then let the fans vote, who do you want to see start? So we can get Skubal versus Skeens. That's how it should be.
Yes.
So what is your opinion on Rob Manfred? Because I know a lot of people don't like Adam Silver, commissioner of the NBA. People are indecisive about, Roger Goodell. What's your opinion on Rob Manfred?
See, I'm not a fan of Rob Manfred. I don't think he loves baseball. And there was the one time he called the commissioner's trophy, the World Series trophy, just a piece of metal. I'm like, all right, well, that's the ultimate prize in the sport that you are supposed to be promoting. So I'm not a huge fan of Manfred, although I do think the rule changes that he made a couple years ago with the pitch clock and the disengagements and the shift, they were criticized pretty heavily at the time. And I think it has baseball on the upswing again. I think more people are getting into it because the games are shorter. So although I don't like Rob Manfred, the person, I think some of the things that he's done have actually been helpful to the game of baseball.
Yeah, I feel like the MLB, as far as fan engagement, has grown a lot.
I think
so.
Part of that is the games being shorter. Part of it is just the star power right now. Like,
I think talked so much about that.
There was a little bit of a lull there where, yeah, Mike Trout was a star, but was he really getting people to watch the games?
Yeah.
But you've got Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge now, who
well, there's stars on every team.
And
right.
Paul Skeens and guys like that.
You've got the pitchers who are must-watch with Skeens and Skubal and Crochet. And now you got a guy like Jacob Mizorowski who's come up and is throwing 102 miles an hour.
Former Nashville Sound.
Right, exactly. And then you've got these, the home run numbers are up. You got Cal Raleigh, a switch-hitting catcher who's hit 36 home runs this year. So I think baseball's in a good spot. I don't know if you can give Manfred a whole lot of the credit because I don't know if he's doing a great job, but I do think the big rule changes have been successful to this point.
Yeah.
So
and baseball's in a good place.
But I do, my plea, Aaron Boone, let the best pitcher in the world start the All-Star game. Don't let the politics of you being the Yankees manager get in the way. But, if Skubal doesn't pitch, then that means he gets a full week off to get ready for the second half. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to chime in, you can text or call. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Again, this is going to be a fun show to wrap up our week here on Stillman & Company. Jared back tomorrow. We're going to talk Titans offseason grade coming up next. ESPN put out NFL offseason grades for all 32 teams. We'll let you know where the Titans ended up and what moves they liked and disliked. We'll also finish our NFL preview with the AFC and NFC South. Look at the SEC with SEC Media Days coming up next week, and much more. But again, first, ESPN put out an article today from Seth Walder, and he graded all 32 teams' offseason moves. How did Mike Borgonzi grade in his first offseason as the GM? We'll go through it next here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Well done, Parker.
I want to do the dance now.
I know. Do we do the...
That's Goofy.
That's Goofy.
And
I don't...
Donald does like the side to side.
My little sister watched this all the time when we were growing up, and she's 6 years younger than me. So I do remember watching a lot of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
My
But
cousin he's 2, so he's all into this. So
yeah,
a lot of Mickey Mouse
is
Clubhouse.
it still going on? Like, did they make?
Couldn't tell you.
I have
No
no idea.
Let me
But
let me tell you what I know about Mickey Mouse Clubhouse at the ripe age of 21.
what a great conversation on this Thursday. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse here.
I mean,
Stillman
Drake and Josh
Company.
is next.
If Jared's listening, he's probably wondering what has been done to his great program.
What have you done to Stillman and Company?
Oh, he's gonna come to me tomorrow. So how'd it go? And I'll be like, I think you should go back and listen.
Yeah, maybe you should listen, especially to Monday's hour around 5:30. Listen to that one
when Matt called in.
Yes.
Well, you should check the text line.
Yeah. Yeah. Check the text line. You'll figure it out. Let's get into the Titans here. As I said yesterday, it's list season. And, when we're in July and there's not a lot of stuff actually going on in the field, we look at the lists. And today, ESPN, Seth Walder over at ESPN, put out his grades for all 32 teams' off seasons. And the Titans, because I love guessing games. Guess where at 1 out of 32 where the Titans ended up.
I'm going to say they overreached on him. I'm going to say they're in the top 10.
Oh, wait, you can see it on the grid. I wrote it on there.
Oh, can I? I haven't looked.
Oh, you haven't looked? Okay. They are in the top 10. They are number 6. The Tennessee Titans got a B+ from Seth Walder of ESPN for their offseason. That is 6th, only behind the Ravens, Broncos, Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams. So the Titans, a B+. They said their biggest move was drafting Cam Ward. Obviously, you have the number 1 pick. That's probably going to be your biggest move. Move they liked was signing Kevin Zeitler. Move they disliked, signing edge Draymond Jones. They also did mention, Seth Walder writes, I'm a fan of the Dan Moore Jr. signing too, though I realize that's a contrarian take. Moore's deal with an average annual value of $20.5 million doesn't look great in comparison to Ronnie Stanley's 3-year, $60 million deal. But I think that's because Stanley's deal was cheaper than expected and the alternatives to Moore were rough. That's kind of exactly what we've been saying, is that outside of Dan Moore on the tackle market this year, there really wasn't a whole lot out there.
Yeah, and that's where I'm kind of at. Like, Dan Moore, he's a starting, as Jared would put it, he's a starting left tackle on a playoff team. I mean, that's kind of what you get. You go overpaid for him, but don't you kind of have to if you want a starting left tackle on a playoff team to come to your struggling team?
Free agency in general is overpay. Like, nobody is getting a below market value in free agency because the market says how much you're worth. And Dan Moore being, like you said, a starting left tackle on a playoff team, he got $20 million. And you hope that he ends up being an above average tackle for you. I know he gave up 12 sacks last year, but raw sack numbers are not the best way to grade a tackle because there's so many other factors that go into that. Like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, I think, are known for taking more sacks. So,
because they're mobile.
Obviously, that didn't help him. And you look at who he was going against. I mean, he's got Myles Garrett in that division. He's got Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks last year. So, not to make excuses for Dan Moore, but I think the overpay was necessary to get a player of that caliber in free agency.
And I think you can kind of cherry pick that a little bit and say, wow, they paid $20.5 million for a guy that, led the league in sacks. But you're right. There's a lot that goes into that. And your quarterback is part of that. Like you said, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are more mobile quarterbacks that like to get outside of the pocket a little bit and scramble. So, yeah, they're going to take sacks. If you don't get across the line of scrimmage, guess what that's called? It's called a sack.
Yep.
So they're going to take more of those. I didn't love the Dan Moore signing at first because I was like, okay, I was like you as in the listeners. I was like, wow, they really overpaid for a guy that is led the league in sacks and is clearly below average.
Yep.
Then I did some digging and now I'm like, okay, he's a starting left tackle on a playoff team. He's there for a reason. He's played for a winning culture in Mike Tomlin. Does he bring that over here? That remains to be seen. But on paper, it's not as bad a move as you would think it is because we have to overpay for guys like that.
My offensive coordinator in college used to say that stats never lie, but they don't always tell the truth either.
Bingo.
So you look at 12 sacks, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of sacks. But you mentioned Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, both mobile-ish quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And, they could be holding the ball too long, trying to escape, make something out of nothing, get sacked. And then that looks bad reflected on Dan Moore. But, that's just not the case. So, and you got to pay to get a guy like that, right?
It's a premium position.
Right. And the Titans desperately need a left tackle.
And if Dan Moore can just be average and J.C. Latham, if he becomes one of the best right tackles in the league, then you paid $20 million to improve 2 spots on your offensive line, which is worth it. We're going to talk more about the offensive line in a second. But the move that Seth Walder said he didn't like was signing Draymond Jones at 1 year and $10 million, which I don't understand. Here is his, he says that he never lived up to the deal with Seattle. His 2022 contract season with Denver seems to be an outlier. I just don't understand why that would be a move you don't like. It's so low risk.
Yeah.
You're not giving out a lot of money.
And it's a position of need.
It's a position where you just need bodies right now if you're the Titans, because you do not have a whole lot of veteran presence in that
or someone to hit the quarterback.
Right. It's a again, it's a premium position where you were so thin that I agree. Draymond Jones is probably not going to go out and get you 11.5 sacks this year. But if he could get you 6 to 8 sacks and just be a guy who's out there as a 3-down edge rusher, that is worth 1 year and $10 million.
I think what he was getting at was the Titans getting rid of Harold Landry to pick up Draymond Jones.
Harold Landry wasn't coming back.
I mean, yeah, it seemed like both sides had kind of agreed that Landry needed to find a new place to go. I mean, Landry was probably overpaid based on what they were actually getting.
I mean, he was trade rumors all of last year. We thought he was going to get flipped at the deadline.
During the middle of the season. I mean, Detroit was a popular topic for for him to potentially go to. So
looking at the rest of these rankings, and we're going to preview the AFC South coming up in the second hour of the show at 3:00. 11th, the Texans. The Colts were 15th, I believe, as a B. And the Jaguars, I'm still scrolling. I have not found the Jaguars yet, which is surprising to me because I feel like the Jaguars are kind of a media darling right now in terms of everybody loves Travis Hunter. And I'm still scrolling. I still haven't found him yet. The Jaguars get a C, and that is good enough for...
What'd you say the
looks like
grade for the Titans was?
A B+.
Oh, okay.
So the Jaguars get a C. Their biggest move was trading up to draft Travis Hunter. Move they liked signing Patrick McCarry, I believe he's a guard, and they didn't like signing De'Ami Brown for 1 year, $10 million. Maybe I need to understand what Seth Walder's article is looking at a little bit more, because I don't understand how you can say, oh, I don't like these 1 year deals they're getting these guys on, because as long as you're staying under the cap,
which is real,
a 1 year deal is really, I mean, how much of a risk can it really be? And how can you not like it? Yeah, they may not pan out, but it's a 1 year deal and you're out of it after this season.
Yeah, it's just, I think he's looking too much into it. Like you said, they're not long-term investments. You're not really committing to anything. And guess what? If they have a good year, guess what you can redo? Re-sign them. Maybe there's something we're missing on here, but he seems to be bashing all these 1 year deals for every team.
That's what I'm not understanding. Is you can not like the player and think, oh, Draymond Jones probably doesn't deserve $10 million. But for the Titans, what harm does it do to bring in a guy like that on a 1 year deal? It's not like they gave Draymond Jones 4 years, $53 million or something.
I mean, geez, I don't think I like that move, honestly. Not that I know much about Draymond Jones, but it fills a position that they need a body to fill.
Yeah, that edge rusher room is you're relying a lot on a lot of guys who haven't proven much. I mean, Arden Key had that 3-week stretch last year where he looked really good.
He's a rotational guy to me, though.
Yeah, right. He's probably a third down guy.
Yeah.
Who you just have him pin his ears back and go after the quarterback. Femi Oladejo is a second-round pick, but again, he hasn't even been playing edge rusher for a year at this point.
He's a project.
And then who is the guy they signed from the Falcons?
Oh,
Lorenzo Carter, who had 0 sacks last year. So, and then Jalen Harrell, I guess you could throw in that mix too. That's a lot of guys who have not produced a whole lot at the NFL level. You're bringing in Draymond Jones, who has produced at least at some point. And I don't understand why they don't like that move, but I get it. It's these list articles where you have a guy who's standing high above 30,000-foot view of the NFL and just has to pick a move that he didn't like.
Right. I mean, it's definitely quantity over quality with the Titans. It's edge rusher by committee, I would say.
I mean, that's why we keep saying that if all things are equal and the Titans go into the draft with a similar looking roster as we have right now, of you look at it and say, all right, these are the holes. I think your first round pick has to be on the outside.
Yeah.
You got to get a pass rusher
or a receiver.
The only way that changes is if Femi Oladejo just lights the world on fire as a rookie,
which I don't expect.
Yeah, I will say though, he has looked impressive in practice, but that doesn't mean he's going to, like you said, light the world on fire or anything. I just seeing him and seeing how energetic he is, he provides something to this room that it desperately needs, and he's built like Tarzan. So
I like him. No, I do like Femi. I just don't know if he's going to immediately jump in and be this team's best outside pass rusher. I think you probably still need to find that guy in the draft at some point. And the Titans likely going to be picking towards the top 10. There are a few good edge rushers at the top. The Clemson guy's the best one.
Peter Woods. Is that who you're thinking of?
Is Peter Woods the defensive tackle or the edge rusher?
That's the guy I saw mocked to the Titans.
Well,
Jordan Reed put out a draft.
There's two defensive linemen for Clemson who are both going to be top 10 picks. I'm blanking on his name. Well, Klubnik could be a top 10 pick too. So Peter Woods is the defensive tackle. TJ Parker is the edge. So Parker is the edge rusher out of Clemson that could be in the top 10. And then Penn State has another edge rusher. They just keep churning them out of there in Happy Valley. Oh, and Miami. Miami has a pass rusher too, Reuben Bain. So there's options for the Titans if they're picking in the top 10. I think that's probably where they're going to end up going.
Yeah.
I think that Draymond Jones is a Band-Aid, and that's fine for this year.
You could take a Band-Aid for a year, especially with what you're trying to do, because I think we both agree it's not about this season. It's not about next season. It's about the stadium.
Right. They want to be, when they move into the new stadium and put on the new jerseys like we talked about yesterday, they want the team to be competitive. That's 2 years away. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Warshetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix is coming to the Nashville Super Speedway Labor Day weekend. And 1025 The Game has your chance to win VIP tickets to the IndyCar race. Text in the keyword RACE, RACE, now to 615-737-1025 to be entered to win a pair of VIP tickets. For more information on the event, visit MusicCityGP.com. The two moves that Seth Walder said he liked were both on the offensive line. So let's look there. Kevin Zeitler and Dan Moore, two big additions up front for the Titans. How much better can that offensive front be for Tennessee this year? That's up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt in for Jared Stillman today. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt in for Jared Stillman today. ESPN grading all 32 teams offseason. The Titans ranked 6th out of 32 with a B-plus grade. Seth Walder, who wrote the article, said he did not like the signing of edge rusher Draymond Jones, but he was a fan of both moves the Titans made on the offensive line. And that's where I want to go next, Connor. The offensive line, I mean, for the last 3 seasons, it's been horrible. Absolutely abysmal.
Yep.
You've had we were talking Mount Rushmore yesterday of Titans, the Mount Rushmore of horrible offensive tackles to play for the Titans. Dennis Daly, Andre Dillard, Nicholas Petit-Frere, and Jalen Duncan. Now you bring in Dan Moore, who, again, just has to be above average. You move J.C. Latham over to the right side. That's his natural position. And you have Peter Skoronski, who, as much hate as Peter Skoronski will get because he was a guard,
Mostly on this show,
taken 11th overall. He was pretty good last year.
Yeah.
And especially towards the end of the year, he got a lot better.
He did his job.
Right. He's not what you expect when you take a guard in the top 12, which obviously I understand. If you take a guard in the top 12 of a draft, he should be an automatic Pro Bowler. And Skoronski hasn't been that yet. Hopefully he will be this year. Lloyd Cushenberry is a question mark because you just don't know. An Achilles is such a fickle injury where
Right.
you don't want to rush him back at all. But based on what he's said, what the coaching staff has said, the belief should be that he'll be back and ready to go.
You forgot to say the thing about Petit-Frere.
Oh, sorry. Nicholas Petit-Frere, a.k.a. PT.
Thank you.
And then Kevin Zeitler, who Seth Walder said that's his favorite move the Titans made this offseason. I think that is the best move the Titans made. I agree with
That's my
him.
favorite.
That
for sure.
Dan Moore, it felt like a necessity to just bring in whoever the best tackle was, overpay, get him in there because you were taking Cam Ward first overall. You didn't have another option to get a starting tackle. But Kevin Zeitler, I think, can be the glue for this team. Dylan Radins was fine last year, but you bring in Kevin Zeitler and solidified that guard center triangle. I feel really good about that. It's the tackles and whether the tackles can take another step forward. Can Dan Moore not give up 12 sacks this year? And can J.C. Latham look more like he did early in the season than he did towards the end?
I feel really, really good about the offensive line being really, really average, which is good. You don't want them to be below average because they've been more than that the past few years. I feel good about Kevin Zeitler. I think that is your missing piece of the puzzle. Not a great puzzle, but a puzzle that I think you can look at and say that is the guy that kind of changed the culture of this offensive line.
What does Trevor Maddich say? From heinous to awful. And
Right.
if they could just be average, I think Titans fans would take that. I think Titans fans would absolutely take that.
I'd 100% take it.
We have been saying since Taylor Lewan tore his ACL for the second time that it can't be any worse. It can't be. I think this year is finally the year that we're right, and it won't be worse. This is not a finished product of what this offensive line is going to be around Cam Ward. I think you look at Latham and you look at Skoronski as building blocks for the long term.
Mhm.
You take those guys as early as you did, they should be.
They have to be, right?
They should be starting on your offensive line for 10 years. But I think Moore is more of a Band-Aid.
Yep.
Until you can get a young left tackle in the draft. But this at least hopefully gives you somebody serviceable for the next 3 to 4 years. I think Zeitler is a one-year guy. I think they want Jackson Slater to be their starting right guard next year.
And he's very versatile too. He can play any position along the interior.
Very excited.
He can play left guard, right guard, center. It might be a stretch for him to bump out to tackle, but he probably could do it. But I think they just want to keep him on the interior.
Jackson Slater, the highest rated Titan in this year's Madden game. Or Titans rookie, sorry.
Is that a shot? That is a shot. That really is a shot.
Cam Ward should be rated higher than Jackson Slater.
Yeah.
And honestly, probably so should Oladejo and Winston. But anyway, I think Jackson Slater is a guy that they look at as they're going to give him a shot to be the starting right guard next year. And center, I don't want to discount center because we've seen how much a good center can change your team. When Ben Jones got hurt back in 2023 or 2022,
Yep.
That's when the wheels fell off after that Packers game. So I do think that the Titans are starting to piece together the offensive line that they want for the long term. But in the short term, I think this is the best unit that they've had at least since 2022.
Which isn't saying what you
No,
think
it's not saying much. It's a low bar.
The only problem is your left tackle's never played next to your left guard before. Your center's coming back from injury. Your right guard is new, never played next to center or right tackle. And J.C. Latham is flipping over to right tackle for the first time.
I agree.
Do you not feel so much better about J.C. Latham playing on the right side?
I do. But I think it's just going to take 4 games for them to all just kind of like get their feet under them, gel as a collective unit. So I think it's going to take some time.
I do try and preach patience with Titans fans. They don't always take it, but I do think that you have to give it a month. Like, look back at what year was it when Lawan got suspended?
Was it
2020?
It was either 2020 or 21.
Whatever year that was, I guess that's not a good example because he was out of the game.
Yeah.
2021 would be a good example where Lawan got absolutely destroyed by Chandler Jones in that first game. But by the end of the season, that offensive line was humming.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the best that we've seen. So I think this offensive line, it might take a couple of weeks for them to get everything fit together. But in terms of investment and ability, I think this is an offensive line that can be between 15 and 20 in the NFL, which is a great step forward.
I mean, you better hope they gel together quickly, because if they don't, you're going to get to the quarterback that risks injury. And what stifles a young quarterback's confidence more than anything?
Injury. Yeah. Well, and especially you got to face the Broncos and the Rams in the first 2 weeks, which, again, I'm not going to get on board with benching Cam Ward for the first 2 weeks to save his confidence and not get him hurt, because you got to face the good teams too. But I do agree that it's not a great start when your offensive line is going to have some, rust to knock off to face 2 teams like that. Andrew on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, says, guys, PT was retired. Don't resurrect it. Get with the program. I apologize. I did not know that PT was
retired, but Jared does it all the time still.
Well, they don't. I mean, Nicholas Petit-Frere does not get brought up nearly as often as he was. He was brought up about every other segment for about 2 years there.
With the right tackle story.
Yes. And now he's not on the Niners anymore. That was a quick cup of coffee in San Francisco for Nicholas
Andre
Petit-Frere.
Dillard's out there, though.
He is. He's hanging around for now. Andre Dillard.
He's like a cockroach. He always finds his way on a team.
I mean, being a former first-round pick in the NFL, I think, has its perks, because people will always think that they can fix you.
Yeah, but I don't understand how he's on there, and you have people like Alex Leatherwood, who is also a first-round pick. He's awful, first off, but how is he not rostered and Andre Dillard is?
Yeah, we won't go through all of Mike Mayock's first-round picks, but if you want to look back, I think Josh Jacobs is the only redeeming quality out of those.
Yeah.
I mean, he took Cleveland Farrell 4th. Everybody knows Henry Ruggs. Alex Leatherwood. And then who was the cornerback from Ohio State that he took?
Oh, he got drafted by the Lions and then traded to
No. Different one. I will find it.
I know
Damon Arnett.
Yes. Yes.
Damon Arnett. Yeah, I think that is pretty much the extent of Mike Mayock's first-round picks. So if you're thinking about hiring your general manager off of television, maybe take a look at that list first. Just putting it out there. 615-737-1025. Again, Seth Walder at ESPN ranking the NFL teams off seasons pretty high on the Titans. 6th among all 32 teams with a B+. So we'll see. Seems like the national media likes what Mike Borgonzi did in year 1. Obviously, it's about what they do on the football field. When we come back, it is time for Newt's Notes. Connor going to take over the show for one segment, but I do want to remind you to tune into ESPN 94.9 The Fan today as the Nashville Sounds take on Durham. Pregame begins at 5:20 and the first pitch is at 5:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds baseball on ESPN 94.9 The Fan is presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Newt's Notes coming up right after this here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. For the final time this week on Stillman and Company, it is time for Newt's Notes. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, Connor Newt, you take it away.
Thank you, sir. All right, so I've got a weird bone to pick with the NBA, which is a pretty normal occurrence. But I really want to know, what is it with all of these role players getting just lucrative max deals? Today it was Jalen Williams for the Thunder, who I guess is kind of a star for them.
He's their second best player.
He's their second best player, but he signed a max extension for 5 years, $287 million.
Right, and they just extended Chet Holmgren too, right?
Yes.
So, man, that second apron's coming quick for the Thunder.
But he's not the only one. Like Desmond Bane, for example. First off, he was traded to the Magic by the Grizzlies for 4 first-round picks. He is their 4th best player, by the way. Now, I'm reading he's making he's on a 5-year, $197 million extension with the Magic.
Yeah, if you're a top 60 player in the NBA, you're going to make quarterback money.
Fred VanVleet is on a 3-year, $130 million contract, and he just signed an extension for $50 million more. What is going on?
I still don't understand the second apron. I don't understand the apron
so
at all.
They just changed the rules in the latest CBA for the NBA, where instead of like a hard cap, the luxury tax becomes like so harsh on these teams that they have to get out of it. The Suns were just in that with Beal and Durant and Booker, and it basically made their life so difficult trying to acquire players that they could not do it. So
I'm going to say a Jared Stillman thing. With the decreasing popularity in NBA watching and entertainment and what have you, where did they get all this money coming out of their ass?
I don't know. I mean, Devin Booker is now making $75 million a year.
Devin Booker's a star.
And I love Devin Booker. He's my favorite player, but he's going to make, like, let's just guess that Devin Booker is going to miss about 10 games out of the year, right?
Right.
Most players aren't going to play all 82 games. That means he is going to make over $1 million every time that he plays an NBA game. That is insane.
I don't get it. Miles Turner just signed a 4-year, $107 million deal with the Bucks. He was the Pacers' 4th best player.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
If you can start and be somebody who scores 15 plus points per game in the NBA, you're going to get paid like a quarterback in the NFL. It is crazy. And I'm with you. Like the NBA, I don't think the ratings have been that good lately. I get they still get that TV deal money, but it feels like they're going up way too fast. Eventually it has to come down.
I mean, we say this feels like every show. If you're not in a big market with an NBA team, do you actually care? Like, I know you like the Suns. Do you care about them more than you care about the Tennessee Titans?
No.
Do you care about them more than you care about the Detroit Tigers?
No.
Do you care about them more than you care about Vanderbilt or Virginia Tech?
No. A couple years ago. Like, I followed them through that whole season. I was really into it, but for the most part, it's something that I'll keep an eye on in the background rather than be diehard and try and watch every single game.
I don't understand where all this money is coming from and why they're exercising it on these mid-tier players that are never going to carry your team to a NBA finals on their own. And I understand, the super team era is kind of dying in a way. It's more investing in young stars and letting the young guys play the game that you're trying to play, which is not a good game of basketball, in my opinion, but regardless. But at the same time, why are we paying these 30-year-old mid-tier players that have never really been much in their career quarterback money?
Well, this isn't anything new. The 2016 NBA free agency is one of my favorites because I don't know how all these guys got so much money. Timothy Mozgov signed a 4-year, $64 million deal with the Lakers. Nicholas Batum got 5 years, $120 million with the Hornets. Where's my favorite one? Because he never turned into anything. Bismack Biyombo got a 4-year, $72 million deal with the Mavericks. Ian Mahinmi got 4 years, $64 million with the Wizards. And I still can't find this guy. He was a shooting guard with the Trailblazers, and he got a massive deal and was just never heard from again with the Nets. Alan Crabb. Alan Crabb got 4 years and $75 million from the Nets. So I get that that's not quarterback money. They're not getting paid $60, $70 million a year. But the NBA has always been like this, where these role players hit free agency, and the NBA's teams are just like, you know what? I'll shell out this contract to you because why not?
Was it Franz Wagner for the Magic that got like a ridiculous?
Franz Wagner's really good, though.
I thought he was. Is he a starter?
Yeah, he's like their second best player.
Oh, okay.
Mo Wagner is not as good, his brother. But Franz Wagner is like their second best player behind Paolo Banchero.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tim in Nashville on our text line.
That's a good point from Tim.
It is. It's a global sport, and they shell out money from, they have the African League now and France and all of that. But I just don't get the point in giving these guys money they don't really deserve.
I'm now realizing where a lot of the money comes from.
Adam Silver's pocket.
No, China.
Oh, yeah.
I think China is probably.
The Guangdong Tigers are investing.
Hey, now.
Desmond Bain.
Don't get us canceled, Connor.
The NBA is that is China's sport. Like they follow that. I think Yao Ming is a large reason for that. But
Jeremy Lin.
I don't know. Jeremy Lin wasn't quite as
Lin Sanity.
Right. But like Yao Ming was like.
Yeah, he was good for a
He
long
was
time.
A global superstar. So I'm sure that is a good point from Tim in Nashville. And, with all of the European stars getting so much better, and, you've got MVPs from Giannis and Jokic, and Luka's been one of the best players in basketball. I do get it that our feelings in the U.S. may not match the financial investment from other countries.
Yeah, but the ratings show our feelings in the U.S.
That's true. That's true. I agree with you, though, that I don't think these extensions are sustainable. Like 5 years from now, are NBA players going to be getting paid?
We're going to have the next Bobby Bonilla.
$100 million a year?
Well, I mean, we're going to have a Bobby Bonilla level contract at some point.
You're seeing that in the MLB. Look at Shohei's contract.
Yeah.
Shohei's getting $2 million
but they backload it
for 10 years. And then the 10 years after his contract, he's going to get paid $68 million a year.
But he makes so much money off of New Balance endorsements and
I know it's not about
stuff.
him, but like the Dodgers are going to be paying $680 million for Shohei Ohtani not to play for them for 10 years.
It's smart. I mean,
right? Because they're
now.
Right. No, I get it.
They're going to be awful.
And they're making so much money on tickets and endorsement deals and jersey sales and all that. But I just can't fathom the idea of saying, you know what, we'll pay him $2 million a year for 10 years. And then once he leaves us, we're just going to shell him $68 million a season.
It's kind of like what the Florida Panthers are doing too. Like they're investing all these contracts into these veterans they have, knowing that they're going to be awful in like 5 years.
And it's just like, hey, we'll bite the bullet when
we'll win as many as we can now.
Right. I was surprised that the Mets deal with Soto didn't have deferred money.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just straight up yearly, right?
They were just like, hey, 15 years, $760 million. Sign the contract.
Yeah.
But the NBA, they don't do the deferred money. But I do wonder if we're going to break the $100 million per year mark in the next couple of years.
I mean,
Which
who would get it?
I mean, Cooper Flagg maybe could be in that range of 4 years from now, 5 years from now, he signs that contract. Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah. You're thinking young
like
guys.
The guys who are due up next to get that first major contract, I think could end up being in the $90 million to $100 million range.
A year.
Crazy. Yeah, a year. Making 9 figures a year to play basketball.
Ugh. The NBA, I just frown upon it. What happened?
I think the NBA is in the same spot that baseball was about 5 to 10 years ago. And baseball made some changes and pulled out of it. I think the NBA I'm not exactly sure what the changes need to be, but I think the NBA does need to change some things up to get people locked in again.
And make the players care. Because Obviously, they don't care, so why should I?
Right. It's basically the NBA has said, like, the regular season doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you sneak into the playoffs, who cares? They tried the in-season tournament. See, what I would kind of like is do the in-season tournament right off the bat. Like,
They
just
kind of do.
no, but they do it like a month and a half into the season. I would like just start the regular season with the play-in tournament, or the in-season tournament, and then after you're done with that, then start regular season games.
That's why we need to preserve the regular season, right?
Right.
We're not getting into this.
I don't know. The NBA, it's in a tough spot. Again, I don't know how to fix it, but I think they do need to make some changes. And these contracts are insane.
Ridiculous.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. In hour number 2 of the program, we're going to finish up our week-long NFL preview. We have done the North, the East, the West. It's time for the South. The AFC South comes up first. Where will the Titans finish in the division? And who is the second best team behind Houston? We will get to that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in today here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, hour number 2, presented by Southern Bank of Tennessee, your bank for small business. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Second hour of the show, which this week means we are going to preview the NFL. We have knocked out 6 of the 8 divisions. Today we go south, including with our very own Tennessee Titans in the AFC South, and we will start there. We've looked around pretty much all of the NFL, Connor, and
Yes, we have.
There's a lot of good teams out there, a lot of competitive divisions. The AFC South is not one of them. It is not going to be one that the national media has a whole lot of eyes on. We're going to save the Titans for our second segment here looking at the AFC South. Let's start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars they're a tough team to really get a good handle on because they have their quarterback, who they believe is their franchise quarterback, and Trevor Lawrence has shown some promise.
They have a good young offense.
Right. They've got good wide receivers, Brian Thomas, and whatever Travis Hunter ends up being, I'm sure he's going to impact the offense in some way. You've got a good stable of running backs. Travis Etienne has, just as Trevor Lawrence has been, he's been fine, but maybe not everything you expected.
Yeah.
Tank Bigsby is still there, right? As their number 2.
He's fine.
And
he's a guy.
They drafted Hokey Bashal Tootin in the 4th round.
What?
Bashal Tootin.
Hokey.
You don't know who that is?
I'm lost on that one.
He was really good in college.
He lit up Boston College the game I was there last year. He had like 230 yards and 3 touchdowns or something like that.
Oh, I thought his first name was Hokey.
No.
And his last name was Bashal Tootin.
Former Hokey Bashal Tootin.
Okay.
Yes.
They
drafted him in the 4th round. But the Jaguars still just uninspiring to me. They just, it always seems like no matter how good their offseason is or how much hype is around them, they always seem to underperform. I think they'll be better. They were 4-13 last year. I think they will be better than 4-13. How much better? I'm not so sure. I would still put them in the middle of the pack range in the AFC as like a 7-10 team.
You know how a lot of the divisions we've talked about all week is like a fight for first? Like, there's a couple teams you could put there. This seems like a fight for last. Like, I'm trying to decide which of the 3 teams is worse.
Yeah, it's a fight for 2nd through 4th. Like,
right.
I don't know if the Texans are going to be Super Bowl contenders this year,
but I think they'll win the division.
On paper, there is a large gap between the Texans and everybody else in this division.
Yeah.
I think the Jaguars, it stems from their defense, and it stems from just an uncertainty around Trevor Lawrence.
And do you believe in a first-year head coach?
Right. First-year head coach, first-year GM, who looks like he was in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse last year, too. I just don't know how much you can believe in the Jaguars. With the Colts, it's the quarterback, right? Like, I don't think Anthony Richardson's all that good.
No.
I think they ruined him.
They pushed him too soon.
Right. And before you all send the text in, well, you guys want to start Cam Ward right away. Cam Ward and Anthony Richardson are very different prospects. Anthony Richardson played 1 year of college football. Cam Ward played 5. They ruined Anthony Richardson. He had physical tools, but he looks lost out there every time he's on the field.
And he's injury prone.
Right.
Like, ever since the shoulder injury against the Titans in 2023, which I think he's still battling, he hasn't, he's been off and on throughout the season.
Yeah. And you get the moments like last year, the flick of the wrist, 75-yard throw on a dime. And that's like, wow, that's what Anthony Richardson can do, but he just can't do it consistently enough. I think Daniel Jones is going to be their starting quarterback.
And this goes back to high school, the injury prone thing. I don't know if you guys know this, but there was actually, do you remember the show QB1?
Yes.
There was a season 4.
There was?
There was a season 4, and Anthony Richardson was in it. It's actually on Tubi, not Netflix, but it's on Tubi. And I went back and I watched it. Anthony Richardson had the same shoulder injury in high school that he has now.
Wow. I guess that makes 2 out of the 4 AFC South quarterbacks who are going to be on Tubi.
Yes. For completely different reasons.
Yeah. I think the Colts are realizing that it makes more sense for them to just start Daniel Jones
Not that he's so much better,
but he just knows how to run an offense. And I don't think Anthony Richardson can do that right now.
yeah, or ever.
Maybe ever. I'm not willing to completely give up on him because, again, the tools are there. Like, he had all of the tools necessary to be a Cam Newton type player.
Yeah.
But they rushed him.
And I don't think he has the weapons, honestly.
I like Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce is all right. They drafted the tight end out of Penn State.
Yeah,
Tyler
Warren. Yeah, I love him. I loved him coming.
Jonathan Taylor is still a top 10 running back in the league, I would say.
Their offensive line's decent too.
They lost
it
a
makes
lot
for a
this
good
year.
run game.
Didn't they? Like Will Fries left. Somebody else left them too. I think they lost at least 2 of their 5 offensive linemen.
I'll have to go double check.
But I do like their weapons. You know who I really like? A.D. Mitchell.
Yes, I do like A.D. Mitchell.
I don't know if he's ever going to put it together, but I remember watching him at Texas, and that dude,
he just has off the field issues.
Right. He's got the talent to be a Pro Bowler. I just don't think he's ever going to put it all together.
I think he's too focused on life outside of football.
Yeah.
Than he is actual football.
The Colts, I think, are going, if they start Daniel Jones. Last year they went 8-9. I think the Jaguars and Colts are going to end up in about the same territory for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
I think the Colts and Jaguars, I would slot them in as probably like the 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere in there, best team in the AFC.
Mm-hmm. Which is not where you want to be.
Like, I think they're behind the Broncos, maybe in the same tier as the Raiders and
I think the
Colts, Patriots, like somewhere in that range. Dolphins.
I think the Colts will be exactly in the same place they were last year, and that's drafting, 10 through 13th, which is still a solid pick.
But it's just like, where do you go from there?
Yeah, it's just like you're kind of middle of the pack, kind of like the Titans were for a while.
They're going to have to draft a quarterback at some point again. If they don't think Anthony Richardson's the guy, eventually you're going to have to go back to the well.
And the only way you do that is you suck enough to get the best quarterback, you trade up, or you try and find a guy in the market, but quarterbacks do not go in the market like that.
And if they suck this year and they tank, Shane Steichen's gone. He's out of there.
Oh,
yeah. I'd say he's on the hot seat this season. Yeah.
Chris Ballard's got to be gone, right? He's gotten way too many chances.
This is going to sound bad, but he doesn't have Jim Irsay to save him anymore.
Yeah, maybe both of them are gone after this year.
I mean, Chris Ballard, everybody talked about him like he was the greatest general manager of all time for like 2 or 3 years. Like, oh my goodness, how does he keep getting, Darius Shaquille Leonard? What a great pick.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor and all these guys. It's like, all right, well, where did it get them? They lost to the Bills in the playoffs one year, and that's pretty much all that they've done since he got there.
They're always, to me, with the roster they have, they're going to be in the 2 through 4 spot.
They haven't won the AFC South since Luck left, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
14?
Yeah. And they made the playoffs with Phillip Rivers, but they did not. I don't think they won the division that year.
No, they didn't. The Titans won the division that year. That was the year. Was that the year the Titans lost to the Ravens in the playoffs?
I think you're right. I think you're right on that.
2020.
That seems about right.
I think that was the 2020 season. Was Rivers lost to the Bills on Saturday and the Titans lost to the Ravens Sunday morning or something like that?
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think that is right. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Previewing the AFC South. I think we're all in agreement that the Colts and the Jaguars are just going to be meh this year. I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the league. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. The Titans and Texans, I think we can look at the Texans and say they're the favorite. Do we think the Titans can take a step forward? Could they be an average team this year? Could they even maybe get to second place in the division? I don't know. We'll talk about it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt in for Jared Stillman today. Again, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Here on Stillman & Company, 1025, 1063, The Game. This fall, live at the Pinnacle at Nashville Yards, Tim McGraw will perform at Trinitix's Rock the Cradle. This event is sure to be a great time celebrating a great cause. Proceeds from the event will support newborns and moms at Ascension St. Thomas Midtown. Get your tickets now at rockthecradlenashville.org. Time to continue previewing the AFC South. And I know everyone's been waiting all week. Time to talk Titans.
Yes.
We're not going to spend much time on the Texans. Texans, they've got the team that should be good enough to win the AFC South, barring somebody just exploding and going on a run that we don't expect, or the Texans being horrible for some reason. But on paper, the Texans are the favorite. Let's talk Titans. We just got a tweet from the world's greatest Titans fan,
Mitchell
Firkins, who he got the Cam Ward tattoo on his arm.
Shout out Mitchell, man.
Showed the stream with the emojis there. With the celebration. So Mitchell Firkins is all in on Cam Ward. And I would guess if Mitchell called in, I guess he would say the Titans are going to win the division this year.
He should call in tomorrow when Jared's here.
Yeah, he should.
I will be producing that. I would strongly advise Mitchell to please not come on the airwaves from 2 to 6 tomorrow.
Yeah, well,
I advise it. Let's see chaos.
I'll talk to him and praise him.
If you're looking for the most optimistic Titans fan, Mitchell Firkins is the way to go. He's got the tattoos of the AFC South championships before the season.
I love Mitchell.
He's always locked in. So do we think that the Titans can make a run? And I don't think anyone's going to pick them to win the division. Do you think they could be better than the Jaguars and Colts this year?
I think it's a possibility. I certainly think it's a possibility they win more than 3 games this year.
Oh, I would. If they don't win more than 3 games this year, Brian Callahan's for sure getting fired.
Yeah.
And I think you start to have serious questions about whether Cam Ward was the right pick.
Yeah.
If you're only winning, unless he gets injured or something like that. I think that is the one thing that could change our perceptions of what the record means is if Cam Ward got hurt. But for the most part, if you only win 3 games again this year, serious changes are going to happen.
Well, let's consider this. Will Levis lost 3 games by himself, basically, for the Titans last year. So without those silly turnovers, the Titans could have been, 6-11?
Yeah.
Cam Ward doesn't do that. I could see 6-11. I could even see 7-10.
I think your floor for the Titans, barring injury, again, I will say if everybody important stays healthy for the most part, I would say the floor is like 5-12. I think they'll win 5 games. Their schedule's easy. You play teams like the Browns and the Saints, and your division's not good. I think you can win 5 games. I think your ceiling, if everything goes right and Cam Ward has a rookie of the year type season, probably 9 wins.
Wow.
I think that if
is the best case scenario.
If every move you made goes right and Cam Ward puts up a rookie of the year type season, I think you probably could go 9-8. I think it's gonna.
I wouldn't expect that.
It's gonna fall somewhere in the middle. I would go 6-11, 7-10 would be my guess.
I think I would say 7-10, and bear with me. I think I would pick them to finish second in the division because I think the Colts and the Jaguars will fight for last.
I think honestly, the Titans, Jags, and Colts are all gonna have a mid-off. They're all gonna be 5, 6, 7, 8 wins somewhere in there. It's not gonna be great. 7605 asks, what is the win total Callahan needs to keep his job? We've talked about this before. I don't know if there's a specific win total.
No.
I think 7.
Really?
You think
7 is safe? I really do.
I do agree that if he gets to 7, that's a number you feel like he took the team in the right direction. But I also think there's a scenario where he wins 5 or 6 games and does keep his job
because Cam Ward looks good.
If Amy wakes up on the right side of the bed that day.
It's a good point. I think 8 or higher, 100% he keeps his job. 7, I would feel good about. And I think Cam Ward's development would depend on whether he keeps his job at 5 or 6 wins.
If they get to 9, there's going to be rejoicing in the streets.
Yeah, that would be. Titans fans would be looking at 2026 as a Super Bowl window year, which
they're not going to get to 9.
We know how Titans fans are.
They're not going to get to 9 wins, I don't think. But I think 4 or less, again, barring something completely unforeseen. I think if Brian Callahan wins 7 games in 2 years, it would be hard to give him a 3rd year.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't want to say I feel good about this year because I think the Titans are going to be bad. But they play in such a soft division and have such an easy schedule on paper.
Yeah.
That I think, 7-10 is
Gettable.
capable of doing.
It's gettable. Again, yeah, I think we're on the same page of it's not going to be a good season for the Titans, but you hope it's better. And
Right.
I think Cam Ward, you draft a quarterback number 1 overall, you feel the excitement around the team again, because that gives you a reason to watch every week, especially because it's not like Will Levis, where last year you kind of knew at one point in the season that, all right, he's not the guy. Even if Cam Ward struggles this year, you're still going to be rooting for him all the way through, because the Titans are giving him at least 2 years to prove he's the guy.
You have to.
So there's going to be a reason to tune in every week, which is different than late season last year. And I think the wins will follow, not a ton, but I think 6 to 7 wins is a reasonable expectation. 5, I think, is the one where I'm like, all right, if he only wins 5 games, I think Brian Callahan probably wouldn't feel very good. But 6 to 7, I think, gives him a chance to keep his job.
How would you feel with 6-11 and Cam Ward looks good? Would you be thrilled with that?
I don't know if thrilled, but I think it would be a step in the right direction. I think 7 or more wins, that's a great season.
Yeah.
A great step, not a great season. That's it is a great step for this franchise trying to get back to contention. 6, I think, is what you're looking for. You're looking for at least 6 wins and Cam Ward to show that he's the right pick at number 1.
I think you kind of have to shoot for 6 to 7 wins, because as Jeff on our text line points out, this season's kind of important.
Oh, it is.
For,
yeah.
Season ticket holders. They're trying to get as many butts and seats in the new stadium as possible. And, there's a lot of moving parts on the roster, on the front office, on the coaching staff. I think you have to hope that they come out with the best possible result, just because you want to see this franchise succeed.
Well, right. And you have to sell those PSLs, which
you're having trouble doing.
They're pricey. Actually, I've heard they're ahead of schedule.
Oh,
that's what
that's good.
I forget who said. Maybe it was Paul Kaharski said that.
Which is a little bit of a shocker
that they're ahead of schedule with the PSLs, but those PSLs are pricey, and you want to show promise. That's all we're saying, is that the record probably isn't going to be good this year. The roster isn't that good this year.
Yeah.
But if Cam Ward can just give you enough hope, that's going to go a long way. Hope in a young quarterback is the easiest way to sell fans on a franchise moving forward.
I think what's your final, probably not final, because we'll probably repeat this many times, but right now, in this very moment, what are you feeling their record is?
Titans?
Yes.
6-11.
That's where I am.
Yeah.
6-11.
I've said 7-10 from the start.
It's going to be
I'm in that area.
Somewhere around there. Joey from Bellevue says, you say the division is soft. The Titans went 1-5 in the division last year. They lost to Mac Jones twice. Okay, well, that was Will Levis and Mason Rudolph at quarterback. We're making the assumption that Cam Ward is going to be a better quarterback than those two.
As a whole, if I am the AFC West and I'm looking at the AFC
right.
South, I think this division's pretty soft.
If you traded the Titans with the Raiders and put the Titans in the AFC West with the Broncos, Chargers, and Chiefs, I think I would guess the Titans would probably go 4-13. But I think they're going to get 2 extra wins from the division that they wouldn't get if they played in a different one.
Oh, it'd be wraps. If it was an AFC West, whoo.
5774 says, how do y'all think fans will react if Levis beats out Ward? That would be chaos.
I'm not even
It's not going to
entertaining
happen.
that. Don't even entertain that.
The only way that's an issue is if Cam Ward just looks horrible in training camp. Like, if it's close, Ward's going to get the benefit of the doubt every single time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, so it's not really worth entertaining. But the only way that's something to worry about is if Cam Ward just looks lost out there.
Yeah, I don't see any possibility where Cam Ward isn't the starter week 1 in Denver.
I was waiting for Indy Ben to text in.
There he is.
With the QB situation for Indy, remember they were a few plays away from winning the division with Gardner freaking Minshew. All Daniel Jones needs to be is adequate, and they have the roster to win the division, unless they have some big injuries. With the Titans, I like Ward to a degree. I just don't have much confidence at all with the rest of the roster to support him. Agree with your Titans take. The Colts, I just don't know if that roster is...
Especially on the defensive side.
Daniel Jones, I agree, is an upgrade. I don't know. I just don't see them being
I think they'll be mediocre.
They're going to be an average team. Would it shock me to see them win 8 or 9 games? No, but I think they'll be in the 7-ish range.
I have a hypothetical.
Yeah.
So TD asked me this a couple weeks ago. He was like, what would it take for Will Levis to definitively beat out Cam Ward in training camp and be the starter week 1?
I think it would have to be the most glaring difference of all time. Like, you would have to have reporters out there at practice and fans in the open practice basically just saying, oh my goodness, Cam Ward looks horrible. We have to start Will Levis because that guy couldn't play in a college game right now. Like that is, it has to be such a stark contrast between those two to make that decision.
I just don't think it's ever going to get near that level.
Right. I think Cam Ward is going to outplay Will Levis.
Even if Will Levis outperforms Cam Ward a little bit, I'm still starting Cam Ward. Like, Will Levis has to, I mean, the hype last year was ridiculous.
Right.
It was ridiculous. If you just can't start Will Levis again. It's not going to happen.
I don't understand why we're talking about this because I don't think there's a QB competition to be had. I think you already have your starter.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like Jaden Daniels last year. Dan Quinn didn't name him a starter until the end of camp. It's going to be the same way. Dustin in Hopkinsville says, I honestly think Levis will beat Ward out, but we won't know it. They're letting Ward start for this team. If you don't, you kill his confidence. I agree with what you're saying. I don't think Levis is going to beat Ward out, but if he did and it wasn't obvious to every fan and every reporter at practice, then they're just going to tell you that Cam Ward beat Levis out. Yep. Like, they're just going to say, oh, well, yeah, we saw the picks that Ward threw, and yeah, Levis had a few good throws, but overall, from what we've seen, it's going to be Cam Ward.
Right.
Jeff says, my last comment today, if this improved offensive line allows Ward to get seriously injured this year, interest in this team will drop off to nil. That is true.
1,000%.
That is the one nightmare scenario for the Titans this year is if Cam Ward got hurt in the first couple games because no one would watch at that point and no one would go to the games. Mike in Lebanon says, the Titans have taught me to never have high expectations. Amen. Trying to get through these. JC in Goodlettsville says, PSLs are ahead of schedule as that would be ticket brokers and travel agents putting vacation packages together in Nashville will not be a home field advantage much. Yeah, you make a good point.
Yeah.
That
I mean, I just don't want to see this drop to Los Angeles Chargers level.
Right. You don't want to open up this brand new stadium to have no Titans fans show up.
Because it's going to be such a destination. Like, you're going to have so much happening there. You're going to have March Madness will probably be, the Final Four will probably be there eventually.
Right.
WrestleMania, massive concerts. Like, you're going to have a college football national championship could be played there. It's going to be such a destination. Like, SoFi in Los Angeles is such a destination. The problem is they don't have the NFL team support to fill it up on every Sunday.
Right.
So
Nashville, the stadium is for the Titans, but it's mostly for year-round concerts indoors, and you get to bring all of those events to Nashville. The Titans are going to have to earn the fan support in that building moving forward. 615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your text here on the Titans for a second here, because I know we've got some more thoughts to get to. And then we will move on to the NFC South to talk about who we think can challenge the Buccaneers for the title in that division to wrap up our NFL preview. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in today for Jared Stillman here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game. 1025 The Game has teamed up with Pella Windows and the Nashville Humane Association for a puppy pet adoption this Saturday at Pella, 277 Mallory Station Road in Cool Springs from 10 to noon. For more details, visit thegamenashville.com/events. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly filling in for Jared Stillman today. Don't worry or worry. Jared will be back tomorrow. One or the other.
Or worry. There's no in between.
Depending on how you feel about Jared. We love Jared. Jared will be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow for his usual show. We are wrapping up our NFL preview in this final half hour of the second hour of the show. We'll get into SEC football coming up at 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Before we get into the NFC South, I did want to touch on a few more texts here on our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dustin from Hopkinsville talking about Nashville in general says, I don't love what the last 10 years Nashville has become before the 17 season finals run. I love the Preds game, but a different crowd showed up when they raised seating prices. It's still fun, but it isn't what it is. I feel the new stadium and higher seating prices is going to change Titans' experience as well. I do agree with that. I think
he's right.
You want a college-like atmosphere, but you just don't get that at NFL games anymore, especially with these new fancy stadiums. You're not getting the same rowdy crowd and, everybody up and high-fiving each other.
He's right, because I think part of that is ticket prices, and it was easier to get into games. But I also think, especially with the Predators, that was just a new energy that we hadn't seen for a hockey team in Nashville before. That 17 Cup final, that had never been done before by that franchise. So everyone was super excited, and it was, it was a different energy. Now, I mean, we're used to it. But it's not like college where you have these drunk college students that are going to sing Enter Sandman every single time they're at a game. You have more adults there.
College
people bring their kids,
and pro crowds are just very different. And I think if the Titans are good, you'll get that rowdy atmosphere back. But I do agree with what Dustin is saying, is that until the Titans are really good and actual contenders, it is going to be more tourists and opposing fans and people who are just there for the event of a football game rather than to watch the Titans play.
Right.
So it's what you have to worry about.
It appears Dustin and Hopkinsville and I have buried the hatchet, because I don't know if he remembers.
Right.
We were beefing for a little bit.
You guys were going after each other.
Yeah. We're friends now. We're all good.
3337 asks, any idea who's catching punts and kickoffs? Mariani was the last good returner we had. Oh, I don't know. Like,
it's been a mixture of people. Shamir Adike I think he's going to be the primary guy, but it's been him, Virgil Lemons, who was a undrafted guy. I think he's going to get cut really soon.
Yeah.
I think there's one other guy
it'll be
Mason Kinsey was back there catching punts.
Yeah,
I really think it's going to be DK.
I would guess it's DK. Restrepo has done a little bit of that, but I don't think he's fast.
If he's going to play special teams, he'll probably be like a gunner or something on punt.
Yeah, I like DK though. I think you put some speed back there, and as long as he can just catch the football.
Or any Titans
Rand, go get me some returners who can catch the football.
He, in fact, did not get
He did
returners
not
that can catch the football.
Yes.
It's like Coach Carter at the end where it plays that one gospel song and it just shows where every player ended up. That's what I think.
Great movie. Yeah. Great movie.
My favorite basketball movie. Over Hoosiers.
Quickly, let's move on to the NFC South, because we do have to finish our preview. I should have done NFC South first and then the AFC South.
I was wondering why you didn't.
We had done AFC, NFC all week long. I didn't want to change it, but
I didn't even notice that.
Let's get to the NFC South. We can spend 30 seconds on the Saints. They're going to be horrible this year. Thoughts?
I mean, the Saints are going to suck. That's my thought.
I mean, I don't even know who they're going to start at quarterback. Is it Rattler?
I think it'll be Shuck.
Is it who's the guy from Fresno State who was
Jake Haener?
Jake Haener, who had the great
that
S2.
Doesn't sound like a real person to me.
He had the great S2 score.
Because that measures so much.
Yes, when that was a big deal back.
Bryce Young had a great S2 score, guys. CJ Stroud was awful.
Speaking of Bryce Young,
don't hate on Bryce Young, please.
Speaking of Bryce Young. I have some hope for Bryce Young this year. I'm rooting for that guy, because to be the number one pick and get benched for Andy Dalton less than 2 years later and then have to work your way back from that, I really do hope it's a good season for Bryce Young.
No, And there's some hope because once he came back after being benched from Andy Dalton, he looked good. He looked like a number 1 pick. And I thought he was fun to watch. So I really hope that they build around him a little bit more. I like Xavier Legette.
Yep. I
love his accent.
I like Tet McMillan.
I do too.
I think Tet McMillan was a victim of somebody trying to push him down the board with all the he doesn't love ball stuff that came out ahead of the draft.
He's going to go out there and prove it.
I think he's going to be really good. I don't think the Panthers are going to be a playoff team this year, but I do think they take a step forward. What did they go last year? 5-11?
Yeah.
Or 5-12?
They took a step forward, obviously, because they won, 2 games the year prior? But I think they're going to be fun. They're aren't they without Chuba Hubbard this year though?
Yes, I believe so.
I think he tore.
That's why they signed Rico Dowdle from Dallas.
Yes, who I am not impressed by.
And they also drafted Trevor Etienne.
Was it Chuba who's out, or is it the other running back, the Texas guy, Derek? No, not Derek.
Derek R.
Jonathan Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks. Yes,
I was going
Derek Brooks. Yeah, I think Jonathan Brooks is out this year. So I think Chuba is healthy.
So is Chuba. I thought I saw. I'm looking this up.
Yeah.
Here's a name you'll know: Raheem Blackshear.
Raheem Blackshear.
He's in their running back room.
Yeah, man. When the Hokies had Raheem Blackshear and Khalil Herbert on the team at the same time, that was a good running backs room. But where's Khalil Herbert? Somewhere now. Is he with the Cowboys?
The Bears.
Yep.
No,
Chuba Hubbard's out.
He is?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He will miss the entirety of the 2025 season
tough.
due to a calf injury.
I like Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, I do too.
But those calf injuries, as we've seen in the NBA.
Although I wish his name was Chuba.
Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, that'd be good.
More fun.
615-737-1025. We are finishing up our NFL preview. We've done it all week long from 3 to 4. We've got 2 teams left, Falcons and Buccaneers. We will get to them when we come back here. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, in for Jared Stillman today. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you. Wrapping up hour number 2. Coming up at 4, SEC Media Days start next week. We are inching closer and closer to football season. We will talk a little SEC football coming up in the third hour of the show, but it's time to wrap up what has been a week-long segment, basically. We have previewed 30 of the 32 NFL teams. We have 2 left. In the NFC South, start with the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons, I think, are one of the bigger boom or bust teams. Like, we kind of talk about, all right, well, this team's just going to be mediocre. I don't see a high ceiling. I don't see a low floor. I think the Falcons are the opposite. There are pieces there for them to win this division.
Yeah.
But you got to see it from Michael Penix for a full season. I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be the guy for them long term. This is the season where he can prove it and put himself into a conversation where he could be, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC.
You want to talk fun offenses. They have the potential to be a really fun one. Bijan Robinson is the running back. Kyle Pitts is poised.
Drake London.
Kyle Pitts is the biggest boomer bust player.
Ray McLeod.
Yeah, is the returner.
Darnell Mooney.
Talk about a guy who kind of
he revived his career in Atlanta almost.
He did.
Yeah.
Yes. There's such a fun offense on paper. It's just a matter of can they put it together. And on the defensive side, they made some big swings in the draft to shore up that defensive line with, a certain person out of Tennessee that they drafted.
Maybe have overpaid to go get James Pierce in the draft.
They did.
Which, giving up a future first to get back into the first round it's a hefty price to pay. But if they do think that he and was it Mykel Williams?
Yes.
That they took
from Georgia.
Or Jalen Walker.
It was Jalen Walker.
Jalen Walker, yeah.
Who took Mike?
The 49ers.
That's right.
That was why we talked about him yesterday. Jalen Walker and James Pierce. Like, those are 2 guys who could pretty much immediately make an impact up front on that defense. The offense has the pieces. This is one of the more interesting teams to watch this year. They could be a playoff team. They could also bottom out and not be very good. So I'm not so sure.
The offense found their groove when they moved Drake London to the slot because they had him primarily outside because of his basketball background. But when they moved him in the slot, they realized they could do so much more with their offense. And then Bijan Robinson really came on, and you have Darnell Mooney. Michael Penix showed some flashes, especially in that Sunday night game versus the Commanders. I'm really excited for this offense. And also their secondary is very underrated, I'd say, as well. They have some good pieces in that secondary.
No, I like the Falcons. I worry about Penix. I don't know if he's
I have so many questions on him.
Lefty quarterbacks just don't work out very often, too.
I mean, has Tua worked out?
And he's
not really.
How many others can you think of over the last 20 years? I mean, Michael Vick. Roethlisberger's not lefty.
But Michael Penix also has the arm strength that Tua doesn't have.
Yeah, that is true.
And the hand size?
Penix, when he was at Washington, man, he could sling the ball around the yard.
But he couldn't do much else. That's
right.
He's such a pocket passer.
He can run, but when he was running, that's when he got hurt.
Yeah.
So Kalen DeBoer decided to keep him more in the pocket instead of getting him on the move, which was smart.
That game against Texas in the CFP semifinals 2 years ago, that was a special performance from him. So I'm excited to watch him play. I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be the guy for them, but I do think that they could challenge the Buccaneers. Looking at the Buccaneers, this team is solid.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a Super Bowl contender, but there's not a whole lot of holes on this team.
Yeah.
Tristan Wirfs missing the first part of the season is not good for them. Like that's tough to lose your franchise left tackle right out of the gates. But Baker's great. Mike Evans is still, he's getting up there, but
Chris Godwin.
Right. Chris Godwin.
Emeka Egbuka.
Right. I forgot they drafted Emeka Egbuka, man.
Bucky Irving, former Duck.
Right.
They still have Jalen McMillan, who they drafted, Trey Palmer, Sterling Shepard. Like that's a solid group of receivers.
The Buccaneers, I don't think they're in the NFC tier with like the Eagles and the Lions.
They're in that,
but they're in the next
6-7 range.
I think they're a playoff team that if they got hot, they could get to the NFC Championship game.
And then the addition of Hassan Reddick on the defense. The defense is always going to be good with Todd Bowles, but specifically their offensive line, dude, one of the best units in the NFL all of last season.
Yeah, if Wirfs can just get healthy, I do think that team could be. I think they could be in the NFC Championship game. I don't know if they could make it to the Super Bowl, but then again, if you get to the NFC Championship game, you're one game away. Anything can happen.
There you are.
I think they win this division. The Falcons are the wild card here, but I do.
Falcons.
You're taking Atlanta.
I love the running back duo they got. They have Blake Corum on their roster too, I think. Or no, he's a Ram. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm drunk. But I love Bijan Robinson. Like I think he has the potential to be a top 5 running back in the league this year. It's all a matter of can Michael Penix be what they drafted him to be. And I think with Drake London in the slot, as fast and as shifty as he is, if Kyle Pitts is what you hope he is, and he normally has not been, but this year seems like a boomer bust year for him, do or die. I like the Falcons. I love their defense. I think they're going to make some noise.
I like the Bucks. Not that we've been keeping track of who we're picking to win the divisions, but just because no one will ever really remember this anyway, let's make our way too early Super Bowl picks. Who comes out of the AFC? Who comes out of the NFC? Who wins it?
Before we do that, I'm going to guarantee that the Bucks win the division this year.
Really?
I'm going to guarantee that.
Wow.
I guarantee.
Ian, mark it down.
Yeah, I got to get access to that chart.
I know. Jared asked me about it last week. I still don't have access to it. So if Jared's listening, I don't have it yet. But, I don't have to produce his show for another couple of weeks.
I wonder who does.
Anyway, just for fun, we've done an NFL preview all week long. Way too early Super Bowl picks. AFC, NFC, and champion. Who you got, Connor?
I'm going to go so chalk. Give me the Bills and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Bills on top.
All right. Parker Kelly.
I need a second to think this one through.
All right. I will go. I'm going to go with my heart here. I'm going to go with America's Super Bowl. Bills Lions.
Oh, I love it so much.
And I'll go the Bills coming out on top.
Okay. I would say the Lions, but they're replacing both coordinators this year, and that scares me. Oh gosh. I'm going to go just to switch it up. Actually, no. I'm going to go Bills Eagles as well.
All right.
I wanted to say
everybody
Rams.
on the Bills.
I really wanted to say Rams.
Guys, we just guaranteed that the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
Now. They're winning, by the way.
We did the worst thing and doubted Patrick Mahomes.
I think we did this on Force Company last year, just like preseason training camp somewhere in there, and just picked Super Bowl winners, and nobody picked the Chiefs. And of course the Chiefs went. So there we go. Everybody, the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl because all of us picked the Bills to go there.
You are very, very welcome.
Yeah. I
enjoy the Super Bowl. It's going to be great.
I mean, it's way too early to do any of this, but we had 4 days. I was like, we can split the NFL into this and just kind of take a broad look at what it's going to look like.
We had airtime to fill, people.
I think what I learned is that the AFC has a lot of really average teams in it.
Yeah.
And the NFC, I think, has a lot of teams that can compete and is pretty wide open.
Yeah. I mean, across the board, the NFC does have a lot of average teams. Like, who would you put in the top tier? I'd say Eagles, maybe the 49ers, you could convince me. Lions.
Commanders, maybe.
Maybe. That's about it.
But I do think...
I'd put the Rams in there, too.
I think there are a lot of NFC teams that are above average. Like, there are a lot of playoff teams in the NFC. You look at the AFC, I think the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Ravens, the Bills, those are my 4 teams that I can look at and be like, yeah, those are playoff teams. And then there's just a whole lot of murky middle with the Bengals. Is their defense going to be good? The Steelers, is Aaron Rodgers going to be good? What are the Patriots going to be? Are the Texans for real, or does their division just suck? Are the Broncos going to take the next step? Like, I think it's very, the AFC is top heavy. I think the NFC is pretty wide open.
Yeah. No, I 1000% agree with you.
That was fun. I'm glad we did that this week. Matthew from Jolton says Ravens, Eagles for me. That's Ravens. I don't really believe, but
well, tell Matthew from Jolton to get his butt back here so he can help me out.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. You can text or call. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. That ends our NFL preview, our way too early NFL preview ahead of training camp coming up in a little under 2 weeks. Actually, training camp for some teams starts in just a couple of days. So
training camp for Coach Newt's team starts tonight.
Right.
Different league.
Speaking of college football, SEC Media Days coming up Monday in Atlanta, all next week. We will talk some SEC football when we come back in hour number 3. We will specifically take a couple of minutes to dive into Vanderbilt, what they could look like this year after a 7-6 season a year ago, and what could Tennessee look like after losing their starting quarterback during spring practice.
And why the Kentucky Wildcats will go 12-0.
Yes, why the Wildcats are going to win it all.
Up next.
In a video game.
Nope.
That's
in
up
real
next.
life.
Jake
Happening.
Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in for Jared Stillman today. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 3, Stillman and Company, presented by Southern Bank of Tennessee, your bank for small business, here on 102.5 and 106.3. The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you for 2 more hours on this Thursday. Again, Jared will be back tomorrow afternoon from 2 to 6 here on The Game. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Talked a lot of NFL football this week.
Yes, we did.
Lots of NFL football. And we'll get back a little bit into the National Football League later on in the show. But let's talk some college football.
Yes.
We are, as I can read on the Chasing Big Joe board, actually that's from yesterday, we are 44 days away from college football in week 0.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting close. And one of the milestones of the football offseason is media days. And that's when I feel like it starts to feel like you're ramping up towards the football season. You get into fall camp soon. The Big 12 is having their media days this week. There's been plenty of headlines coming out of there.
Some great ones.
Deion Sanders basically saying it's unfair, all of the NIL stuff and asking for a salary cap. And was it Mike Gundy basically saying like they need to collectively bargain everything for
Mike
NIL?
Gundy says a lot of things.
I'm a man. I'm 40. But SEC Media Days is next week, starting Monday in Atlanta. Vanderbilt will speak on Monday. I believe they're bringing Clark Lee, Diego Pavia, Randon Fontenette,
Yep.
and Martell Height.
Yes, sir.
Tennessee will go on Tuesday afternoon. They're bringing, is it Arian Carter? Parker Kelly?
Yes,
Arian
Arian Carter from Smyrna High School.
Bryson Eason and Miles Kitzelman. So
Miles Kitzelman's a tank in the game, by the way.
he is. Won't be bringing a quarterback.
He was also brought in to be basically a special teams guy and then emerged as tight end 1. So he exceeded expectations.
Hey, we love those stories. I mean, how many walk-on, like J.J. Watt was a walk-on tight end at Wisconsin, ended up being a first-round pick at defensive end, so it happens. Just in general with the SEC, this is a year where you've got some teams that are in the national championship conversation. Texas is up towards the top. Alabama, Georgia is always going to be in that conversation.
Yep.
But it is so deep this year that it wouldn't shock me if we saw 6 or 7 of these teams in the SEC right around the playoff conversation towards the very end.
No, because I think you're not discounting, you're naming national championship contenders, but there are teams that I think could sneak in the playoff, like a South Carolina or an Ole Miss or teams like that are kind of that second tier of SEC. It's going to be a really fun year because this is just such a deep conference and just so much talent comes out of here. So many young stars that you're going to see in the NFL. I can't wait for college football, man.
Best time of year.
Yes,
it is. I cannot wait for the first morning we wake up with College Game Day on. It's always
Reese
special.
Davis monologue.
Right.
The first Reese Davis monologue is just
Man,
from
tears to my eyes.
From the banks of the old Tangy on, I guess that would be August 31st, August 30th.
Yeah.
When Ohio State and Texas square off.
And I think they'll be in Dublin as well.
They'll go to Dublin.
Oh, right. I forgot they're in Dublin too.
Farmageddon.
Kansas State, Iowa State. There are going to be some teams in the SEC that take a step back this year. I don't think Missouri is going to be nearly as good as they've been the last couple of years. Sorry, Eli Drinkwitz. I just don't see it. I don't know if Ole Miss is going to be quite as good as they were last year.
They're interesting because they have a lot of young talent. I really like their quarterback.
Austin
Simmons, yeah.
He's really young too. I think he's only 18. He
sophomore.
Reclassified.
He's already graduated college.
He played baseball for them as well. Lefty, but he's really fast. They got a lot of young talent on the skill positions. Their defense is what I think is going to take a little bit of a step back after losing Walter Nolan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Their transfer portal class is nowhere close to as good as it was last year.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is not going – they missed their window last year to make it to the playoff. They choked one too many times, Kentucky probably being the biggest one.
No, that's fake news. Kentucky went undefeated last year.
Oh, right. Sorry.
And won the national championship.
I forgot about that.
Fake news.
But I think you can just go up and down the 16 teams, and there's obviously there are the teams that you know are going to be in it all year long, but there's a lot of teams that you think, well, maybe if everything goes right for them, like Auburn. I don't think Auburn's going to be all that good, but maybe Jackson Arnold. Like, there's so much talent there. You wonder if he figures it out with a change of scenery. I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm not an Auburn believer.
That's the reverse Bo Nix situation. Bo
Right.
Nix left Auburn to realize
And
his
figured
potential.
it out, yeah.
Now Jackson Arnold's coming to Auburn to realize his.
I'm not saying I think it's going to happen, but there's so many teams like that. Like, I think Florida is going to be in the conversation. I think South Carolina is going to be in the conversation. I would say both those teams have a good chance to make the playoff this year. You look at Texas A&M. There's a lot of talent at Texas A&M, a lot of money at Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chance that they finally figured it out with Marcel Reed at quarterback. I like the Aggies a little bit. I like Mike Elko.
They just scream 9-3 to me.
Yeah,
8-4.
right. And
'Cause
that's
they
what they do
always-
every year.
Yeah, they always float around that area. So
Oklahoma bringing in Mateer from Washington State. Like, maybe that's what gets them over the hump a little bit.
Brought in his offensive coordinator as well, and Ben Arbuckle, and the quarterback coach from Washington State.
Right.
All in Norman.
I just look at, there's going to be those teams at the top. Your Alabama, Florida, Georgia, LSU, South Carolina, Texas. They're all going to be in the conversation. I feel pretty good about those. Was that 5 or 6 teams?
yes.
But I think there's going to be 2 or 3 others that maybe we're not looking at. A&M could be that. Vanderbilt and Tennessee. I think both of them have their warts for different reasons. Tennessee, it's just tough to lose your quarterback that late in the offseason.
Yeah.
And try and figure it out on the run. Not that I think it's not like Nico was a game changer last year.
But they took a dip in
But
talent.
right. Like Joey Aguilar and Jake Merklinger, they aren't the same type of player that Nico is.
Right.
And there's basically already been and I've said before, we'll see how Vols fans feel about this in December, but Vols fans basically are saying, like, all right, this is going to be a down year. Like, we're going to give Heupel a pass on this year because you lose the most important player on your team in spring practice where you really don't have an opportunity to replace him. You got to at least give him a pass. For Vanderbilt, and we're going to talk a lot more about Vanderbilt in the next segment, Vandy, it's can you recreate the magic of last year?
Yeah.
Did you catch lightning in a bottle last year with everybody sleeping on you and you came out and punched them in the mouth and got to 7-6? Or was that legit and you can take the next step from there and be an 8-9 win team? The schedule's tough. It is. But there are a lot of teams like that in the SEC outside of the elite who, if things do fall into place right, could end up making a run and being towards that back end of the top 12 at the end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of storylines this year, too, like that. Like Vanderbilt. Can they capitalize on a good season for their standards, I guess I could say? Tennessee,
Yeah.
Is it really, really a down year? If they make the playoffs, is that a success for Josh Heupel and the Vols? I don't know. There's a lot of storylines going in this season. It'll be fun to watch a lot of them play out.
Here's an interesting nugget about Tennessee. So obviously, like the quarterback situation up in there, we don't know who's going to start. We think it's probably going to be Joey Aguilar, but the Vols open with Syracuse week 1 neutral site at Mercedes-Benz Superdome or Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And then they have East Tennessee State. Week 3 is Georgia. So you have 2 kind of cupcake games to kind of figure out the quarterback situation before you have to gear up for Georgia. But it's Georgia. And Josh Heupel's not been able to beat Georgia yet.
Georgia that early in the season is tough. Don't call Syracuse a cupcake quite yet. They're going to be, I think Syracuse is slept on a little
we're talking
bit.
about one of my buddies has just accepted the head coaching role at
Wow.
Syracuse.
Wow. So now you got to face him week 1.
After 1 year.
Your buddies with Fran Brown?
Fran Brown just got fired, pal. After 1 year as the Virginia Tech offensive coordinator.
Wow.
He is taking his talents to the Cuse.
Nevada Josh actually heard the same thing from you, that Kentucky went 12-0. He said he also heard the Raiders are going to go undefeated this year.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, we'll see each other. We'll pass each other on the way to our respective
your
championships.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We're going to take a deeper dive into the 2 in-state schools here. Vanderbilt first, then we'll look at Tennessee. What are their seasons going to look like as we head into SEC Media Days? Again, we're going to hear from both teams coming up next week. Vanderbilt on Monday afternoon with head coach Clark Lee, quarterback Diego Pavia, outside linebacker Randon Fontenette, and defensive back Martell Height. For Tennessee, head coach Josh Heupel, linebacker Arian Carter, tight end Miles Kitzelman, and defensive lineman Bryson Eason. So we'll go into the two in-state schools coming up in the next 30 minutes. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in for Jared Stillman today. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Yes.
Well done. Yeah, there you go. Nevada Josh said we're Drake and Josh, so
This is a great song.
it is.
Drake Bell, the voice of Spider-Man at one point.
Really?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
he was on a cartoon.
Before I get to a little bit of breaking news for you, Connor.
For me?
Yeah, specifically for you. Let's give away some tickets. It's our last day. Let's be generous with people out there. If I can find the ticket giveaway on here. There it is. Be caller number
19.
no, be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025 to win two pair of tickets to see Nelly with Ja Rule and special guests at Ascend Amphitheater on Tuesday, September 16th. That is caller number 3 at 615-737-1025 to see Nelly and others on September 16th. Little bit of breaking news for you, Connor. The NCAA men's and women's committee has met discussing expansion of the NCAA tournament, and they have not made any decision. They will not expand it as of right now.
Good. Thank you,
It's
Lord.
a win for America.
Thank you, Lord. They should never expand that. I
I
think
agree.
68 is perfect.
I think it's good because 64 was fine, but if you want to add the first 4,
Yeah, fine.
I'm okay with that. But we don't need any more teams in the tournament.
I mean, you would be adding lesser talent.
It's just a money grab at that point.
Yeah, it's not. They don't need to do that. Now, Charlie Baker likes money, so
right. It'll happen eventually,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't. It should not. Let's get back into college football. SEC Media Days coming up on Monday through, I believe, Thursday of next week. Right? Yeah, four teams per day. So Monday through Thursday in Atlanta next week. Vandy is going to go on day 1. Vanderbilt coming off a 7-6 season, 1 year removed from going 2-10 and losing their final 10 games of the year. back in 2023. They turn it around, bring in Diego Pavia, bring in Jerry Kill, bring in Tim Beck, Eli Stowers, all New Mexico State Aggies, and they go 7-6. They beat Virginia Tech, who, as much as I hated seeing the Hokies lose. I love seeing Vanderbilt get that big win over a Hokies team that was a sleeper for the college football playoff last year. Like, people can say that they weren't, but Pat McAfee picked them to go to the college football playoff last year. So heading into the season, week 1, that was a big game. Vandy announced to the world that they were here. Big win for Vandy. That led to wins over Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky.
No, that didn't happen.
Oh, that didn't happen either?
No, it's
fake news. And then a win over Georgia Tech in the Birmingham Bowl. 7-6 for the Doors last year. Now the key is, can you build on it? And this is such an important year for Clark Lee, because one year isn't going to change the national view of what Vanderbilt football is.
Yeah.
But if you can string together back-to-back years where you're a threat to beat anybody on any given Saturday, that's when Vanderbilt is going to start to grow as a national power. Being in the SEC, being in Nashville, being one of the best degrees that you can get across America, I think Vandy needs to have a great year this year. It's not going to be easy, but there are wins to be gotten on that schedule.
It's not going to be easy, and I think part of that is they are talking themselves into a hole. When Diego Pavia goes on Bussin' with the Boys and says Vanderbilt is the new power in Tennessee, I know he's, trying to hype up his team and trying to appeal to the fan base, but I think they're talking too much smack. Alabama's pissed off that you beat them here. Tennessee is not going to go light on you because you're a rival playing in their home stadium. So I think it's going to be a lot harder than Vanderbilt thinks it's going to be. It's just a matter of, can they perform the same way they did down the stretch last year?
Right. And like last year, everybody kind of doubted Vandy even after they were getting the wins. It was, all right, well, you beat Virginia Tech, but they're probably not as good as people thought they were going to be. They're an ACC team. Do it again.
But
they weren't very good.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But then Alabama, it's like, oh, you got lucky on one day and beat Alabama. Then they strung together back-to-back wins at Auburn, Kentucky was...
That was
it was at Kentucky. Yeah, so back-to-back wins on the road against SEC teams. I think Vandy proved it last year. Now, they struggled down the stretch. I think some injuries were part of that, but they came back, got the win over Georgia Tech in the bowl game. This year, the schedule is tough. You start with Charleston Southern at home, which I like. I think it's good to get that tune-up game where there are some new pieces, especially on the offensive line. I think it'll be good for them to have that game against Charleston Southern here in Nashville. But then your next two games, again, at Virginia Tech. I'm not trying to say the Hokies are going to be good this year, but it's a night game in Blacksburg.
Yeah.
That's not an easy place to go play.
That's one of the toughest environments you'll ever play in.
And then at South Carolina in a night game, back-to-back weeks. So that's tough. If you could come out of that stretch 2-1, I think you feel pretty good.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that's a win for everyone involved.
And then Georgia State and Utah State at home. I know Georgia State got Vandy. That's kind of like Ryan Williams talking about they want revenge on Vandy for last year.
Vandy's going to be
Vandy wants revenge on Georgia State. I think you can win those two. You could be 4-1 heading to Alabama for that game.
Not to pat myself on the back, but I told you when they played Georgia State, they're playing on Turner Field.
Yeah.
Weird dimensions.
That was such a strange game too.
Yeah.
Like Vandy struggled most of the game. They came back. They took the lead. It looked like they were going to escape and then just gave up a touchdown drive in the final seconds. That was a weird
couple of weeks. Because wasn't it the next week they played Missouri and went to overtime with them?
Right.
And should have won.
Really. Missed a field goal in double overtime. Then I think they had a bye week after that and then beat Alabama the week after. What a month for Vanderbilt football. But it is tough. Let's say you're 4-1 heading into Alabama. At Alabama is going to be a tough game, like it always is, and
it's not.
You're not going to chalk that up as a win for sure. Then you got LSU coming to town. It's in Nashville at the very least, but LSU is going to be really good this year.
They're going to be fun.
LSU is a national title contender coming to Nashville,
and then Missouri comes to Nashville. I think that should be a win. I feel good about that. At Texas, again, that's maybe your preseason number 1 team in the country on the road.
Now, they played Texas close last year here in Nashville, but at Texas, in
Austin, that's a tough environment.
I think Vandy's season is going to come down to their last 3 games. I think these last 3 games are going to be massive because it could be the difference between an 8-win year and a 5-win year is Auburn and Kentucky at home and then at Tennessee.
I think they're all winnable games.
They're winnable. Not saying they're going to win all of them,
but it's a possibility. Like, Kentucky is not going to be very good. Auburn is up in the air. They're going to be better than Kentucky, I think, but they're not the greatest team, and you're playing them here.
Yeah.
You're playing 2 of the 3 games here in Nashville. Tennessee is going to be tough just because it's in Neyland. You're a rival.
Right.
They don't like what you said about them.
Right.
Those fans,
the bulletin board material is there, but
Tennessee is not the Tennessee of 2022. There's no Hendon Hooker or Jalen Hyatt out there anymore.
You're probably not going to get run out of that stadium just because the defense, or excuse me, the offense for Tennessee, I don't think is going to be as explosive this year.
Right.
Could be wrong.
But look at that 5-game stretch for Vandy. You're at Alabama, at home versus LSU, versus Missouri, at Texas, and then Auburn. And you have a bye week sprinkled in there, but still,
it's
that is a tough 5-game stretch.
That's life playing in the SEC, which it's just reality.
That's almost life for Florida or Oklahoma, except they have it much worse, but still very tough.
2459 on the text line asks, who did y'all say was the loss for Vandy starting off? I kind of just chalked it up as if you go 1-1 against Virginia Tech and South Carolina, you feel good. If I had to say the loss, I would say South Carolina. Beat Virginia Tech, lose to South Carolina.
Honestly, if you were to ask me today, I think they would go 0-2 in that stretch. Just because I think Lane Stadium is such a tough environment to play in at night.
But it's hit or miss with Lane because, you do have games like we mentioned the other day, the North Carolina game coming out of COVID, where it felt like that stadium just suffocated North Carolina's offense. But then the year before that, or 2 years before that, Duke came in and beat the Hokies like 42-6 in a night game.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you would know better than me.
Right. So it's not always like an automatic loss when you go play Virginia Tech in a night game, but it is a tough place to go play. Skylar on our text line says Vandy will get smacked this year. SEC defenses will figure Pavia out. My response to that would be Hugh Freeze has now had 3 chances to figure Diego Pavia out, and he is 0-3.
Yeah, but that's just one example.
But I mean,
but
I understand. I'm just saying, like, you can say that what Pavia does. I know there are probably people out there. Actually, there was an Auburn podcast that was going around saying that Pavia is not a good quarterback and he's gimmicky. But Pavia just knows how to win. Like,
he does.
He doesn't have the big arm.
To Skylar's point, I think he has a point that I think defenses are going to figure him out to some level. Like, I think Alabama is going to figure Diego Pavia out.
And he's going to have to make adjustments the other way. But Vandy, this is like I said, this is a big season for them. And you look at the schedule and you see that it is tough. And that stretch that Parker mentioned, like, it could be a slippery slope where things get out of control. But if you're able to just keep your head above water for that stretch of Alabama, LSU, Missouri, Texas, and get to those last 3 games with 5 wins, you got a chance to go be an 8-win team.
By the way, you and I have graduated from the Mouseketeers.
Oh, we did?
And we are now the Avengers.
Oh, wow.
So
where does that leave me?
We've joined Willie.
You're right. As Rick Merritt said.
Yeah, as Rick
Merritt. Right.
The famous Rick Merritt.
Kevin from Hendersonville on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, coming from a lifelong South Carolina fan who's experienced much pain, we always play close stinkers with Vandy. This very well could steal one in Columbia. That's fair.
Every team that's weird. The weird thing about sports, every team has that one team that they always play close stinkers with.
Right. And I think there's always the trauma from fans. You always think you're not going to be good, especially like South Carolina, when everybody's crowning South Carolina as this underdog this year. They are the sexy pick around college football this year.
They could very well go out and just crap the bed,
like because
everyone likes them.
We're going to see so many college football playoff predictions over the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Heading up to the season. And I would bet almost all of them have South Carolina in or around the top 12. And they could end up not living up to the hype. I do like that team, though.
The problem is who's Lenore Sellers throwing to besides Nick Harbor, and who's the running back going to be? And then they lost a lot on their defense.
Yeah.
They still have Dylan Stewart, but they
It's
lost
a
lot on their defensive line.
South Carolina, it feels like a star-heavy, top-heavy team. Like, they've got the name brand of Harbor and Sellers and Stewart, but what's behind that? Do we know? So I'm not so sure. Greg Roberts says, did you really say Vandy could be an 8-win team? I mean, looking at the schedule, I think everything would have to go right, but there are 8 winnable games on that schedule.
I would agree, but I would say it's improbable.
They would have to run the table.
Yeah,
I think
it's improbable. It's not impossible, but it's improbable.
But I think another bowl eligible season for Vanderbilt would be a big step in the right direction. And I think that's very possible. So 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will get to your phones coming up next because we are going to transition out east to the Tennessee Volunteers. Talk a little bit about the Vols and what they look like this year minus Nico Iamaleava. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in for Jared Stillman today here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. This week's Nashville's best deal is Mellow Mushroom. There's no pizza like Mellow Mushroom pizza. Stone-baked with fresh ingredients, next-level imagination, and limitless options for customization. It's a higher order of pizza. You know and love Mellow Mushroom. Now get half off a $30 gift card while supplies last at thegamenashville.com/deals. Gift card is good for downtown Broadway and Franklin locations. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you here on Stillman and Company. Looking around the SEC, especially at the two in-state schools here in Tennessee. Just did a deep dive on Vandy, went through their schedule, what they could look like this year.
Sorry, I'm struggling back here. I'm falling.
You find a wasp?
No. I think D-Mace brought that mutant with him.
I think he did. We'll have to get a wasp update from D-Mace next week.
We'll have to get Jake Wallman in here to spray down.
Let's transition out east to the Vols. Losing Nico Yamaleava in spring practice and having to transition to either transfer Joey Aguilar or unproven Jake Merklinger. And what better way to start off our conversation on the Vols than going to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and talking with Adam in Portland, who wants to talk about the Vols. Adam, what's going on? What you got for us?
Dude, you guys have done a good job this week. I've listened every day. I think you have squatters' rights, and you should just be like, I'm not giving the spot back.
We're going to
Gary go to Saturday.
We're going to sleep in the studio tonight and make sure he can't take over.
Well, I don't think you'd have a whole lot of blowback just by Jared. But, hey, but no, check it out. So I think I heard Connor or somebody just now say the Vols won't be as explosive. Dude, I can argue, like, in the last 2.5 years, they've not been explosive at all. Like, they've had one good player. They had a running back. It was Dylan Sampson last year. And Nico, I understand he was supposed to be good. So was the Vols have had quarterbacks coming up through the years that were supposed to be good. Golly, I can't remember that's what I'm saying. You can't remember, but they've had 5-stars coming here and just fade out. So Nico, that Arkansas game, I'm sure you guys felt the same way. Just let the air out of my stomach, man. When he didn't throw the ball, you can make mistakes, especially when you're a young quarterback. When you just hold the ball and run out of bounds to end a game, like that's all I need to see from you. So I think any quarterback's going to be an upgrade. Like I'm not saying that the Vols are going to be, the national champions, but they made the playoffs last year with a running back, just a running back. So I think any offensive contribution, because Heupel's system's still good, dude. So if you can get the quarterback to hit those, wide routes, a quarterback that has timing like Hendon Hooker did, like you get any contribution from the passing game, you could be a really good offense. So I don't think the Vols got hurt by losing that quarterback.
Adam, I do think you make a good point, and thank you for the call, that Nico, I think the amount of hype and the dialogue around him does influence our opinion of him now.
Yes.
He was called the savior and he changed NIL with the contract that he signed and the deal that he agreed to. And after last year, after the bowl game where he went off and everybody kind of was looking at it as he's the guy and he's going to take Tennessee back to the national championship conversation. And even when he didn't look as good last year, I think the aura around Nico still stayed until this year. And that's why, in my mind, I'm thinking it's a downgrade at quarterback. But he does make a good point. What exactly did Nico do last year on the field that makes you think that it's going to be such a massive downgrade at quarterback? Right. I think that is a very good point from Adam.
And that leads me to what happened to play calling. In 2022, it was Josh Heupel was getting so much praise.
Oh, I'll explain that for you.
Let me do it, pal. I'm just kidding. Josh Heupel was getting so much praise for throwing the ball down the field. Go back and watch the Alabama game. Jalen Hyatt ran deep routes. Hendon Hooker would find him deep. That's why he scored 5 touchdowns, because he was just burning over safeties. The play calling has gone downhill for Josh.
No. Let me stop you right there.
Easy, producer.
Okay. Hold on. In the Alabama game, when you remember when Nico would take deep shots to Squirrel White and just overthrow him?
Yes.
Josh Heupel has to call conservatively because that stuff kept happening. He doesn't have a quarterback that could operate the offense like Hendon Hooker. So it has nothing to do with the play calling. It has everything to do with what happened on the field.
It's fair.
That's true.
Even though I do think Nico was overhyped, and I think it is a little overblown to think, oh, well, they're going to be horrible because he's gone. I do look at Joey Aguilar and say, is he really going to, like, he had a really good season in 2023 with App State, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,700 yards. Last year, though, in the Sun Belt, 23 touchdowns, 14 picks.
I mean, nothing uber impressive to me.
I wonder, and maybe it isn't going to be Aguilar starting,
Right.
but even if Nico wasn't that good last year, I don't see either of these guys being much better.
Yeah. No, I know you could argue it's execution mostly. And I agree with that to a T. I feel like Heupel trusted Hendon Hooker way, way more than he trusted Nico. And that was shown with the conservative play calling. And plus you had an all SEC running back and Dylan Sampson that you believe in and a guy that gave you results. Execution is part of the issue, but also I think he needs to get back to that balls to the wall kind of play call where he's just gunning it down your throat.
Well, who's going to execute the
right?
offense?
If you have the quarterback who can do it, right? Like,
yeah.
But and it is funny because I've said this before. Hendon Hooker, I thought when he transferred from Virginia Tech to Tennessee, I thought he was going to fade into the oblivion and never be heard from again. Like, he got benched at the end of his career at Tech because he could not execute the game plan. Basically, the Hokies were playing Clemson and wanted to just shorten that game as much as possible, keep Trevor Lawrence off the field. And Hendon Hooker snapped the ball with like 28 seconds left on the play clock. And Fuente pulled him, put in Braxton Burmeister. That was the last play that Hendon Hooker played with Virginia Tech. I thought he was done, but he did find such a perfect marriage with Josh Heupel. Like, Josh Heupel found a quarterback who could run his offense perfectly, and Hendon Hooker found an offense that fit to his strengths. And it is funny because it didn't come from a 5-star. Like, Hendon Hooker was a good recruit. He was a 4-star out of high school, but it's not like he was this generational talent. Maybe that's what Heupel needs to look for, is just, you got to find somebody who fits, but maybe isn't this 5-star guy. Like, Tennessee has a 5-star coming in next year.
Faison Brandon, who is actually from Hendon Hooker's neck of the woods in North Carolina.
Really?
So imagine what Heupel did with Hendon Hooker, who was a 4-star, was fighting to keep his job at Virginia Tech. And look at the production that he got out of a guy like Hendon Hooker. Imagine what he can do with Faison Brandon, who is the #1 overall recruit in the country.
Right. And that's what I just wonder if it's more about fit than talent with Heupel.
Yeah.
Like, Brandon can be the best quarterback ever, but if he can't run that offense, is it worth anything to Tennessee?
Right. I'm reading this from Dustin and Hopkinsville. This is the most accurate depiction of Mark Stoops I have ever read in my life. Notorious for letting his QB1 drive down the field, then throwing his tall, fast QB2, known for his run game, and at the 15. Last year, that was Brock Vandagriff was QB1, and then they throw in Gavin Wimsatt for whatever reason. 3 plays in a row, moves you 2 yards forward, 5 yards back, then a sack, killing all momentum. God, we love Mark Stoops.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Kentucky enough. Maybe we'll spend the last segment of the hour on that.
Okay.
We'll let you just...
Yeah, we'll let him take the reins.
We'll let you give us a Kentucky preview because I know absolutely nothing about Kentucky
you
this year.
big blue propaganda.
Yeah. Why are they going to go 12-0 this year?
Why is Cutter Boley not starting at quarterback?
Louisville Jared would kill me if I knew I was.
I know,
if he knew I was
that is
spreading
true.
blue propaganda.
We're breaking all the rules of Stillman and Company.
He's not here to stop me.
I know. We talked about the salary cap. We talk about Kentucky. What else? I said something else the other day that would make me evaporate.
It was Sam Darnold.
Oh, right. Yeah, we criticized Sam Darnold. Man, we're doing it all. I hope Jared's not listening.
Didn't you say something about Steve McNair too, or is that?
Oh, well, yeah, I said Dak Prescott would arguably be the best.
Yeah.
No, we're not getting back into that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll wrap up our conversation on the SEC as a whole coming up next. Again, SEC Media Day is coming up next week in Atlanta. Make sure to keep it tuned right here on 102.5 The Game for all your coverage. I believe Chase and Big Joe are going to have a lot of good stuff from Atlanta next week. So excited for that. Vanderbilt speaking on Monday, Tennessee on Tuesday. We'll continue to talk Southeastern Conference football coming up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, in for Jared Stillman today, talking SEC football. SEC Media Days coming up starting on Monday, the start of football season. We'll hear from Vanderbilt on Monday, Tennessee on Tuesday. Looking around the rest of the SEC, Texas is sending Arch Manning. I'd love if somebody asked Arch Manning about Paul Feinbaum's comments the last couple days. Like,
I hope Paul Feinbaum asks us Arch Manning about
I'm
Paul
sure that he'll
Feinbaum's
get
comments.
him. Like, he put a
Well,
lot.
he'll be there.
He put a lot of pressure on him with those comments, saying that he's the best quarterback in college football since Tim Tebow.
Yeah. Unnecessary pressure, too. Because now if he does anything short of that,
Right.
it's going to be looked at as
It's
a failure.
like he's propping him up. I think Arch Manning's going to be good. I don't know if he's going to be a Heisman finalist this year.
I don't think he's coming out of the draft this year. I think he stays.
I think so too. But there is a point where he would kind of have to go, right? Like if you're the guaranteed number 1 overall pick, you don't stay.
Now, if he performs to that level of, Tim Tebow, and he's guaranteed the number 1 overall pick, he's going.
Right.
But I think if he's anything less of that, like if he's projected, in the top 15 or so, I think he just comes back.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, that's what their family has done historically, is they don't go out early. There's a chance it happens, but I think Arch Manning will be probably a top 6 to 7 quarterback in the country this year. He'll be one of the best.
I think that's fair.
I just don't think he's going to be the best.
Yeah.
I really like Lenoris Sellers. I really like Drew Aller. I really like Garrett Nussmeier. Those would be the 3 to me that I'm keeping an eye on.
Those are definitely my 3.
Lagway's in that conversation too, but you haven't seen enough of him.
Are we talking just SEC?
No, everybody. Like I put Aller in there.
I love Cade Klubnik.
Right. I can't believe I forgot Cade Klubnik. Yeah, he's in there. I'm excited to see Julian Sayin at Ohio State.
Yeah, he'll be interesting.
We mentioned that Ohio State-Texas game in week 1. It is nice that both those quarterbacks are relative unknowns.
I'm interested in Dante Moore.
Yeah,
at
Oregon. A lot of good quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
But not really a consensus top one, which is fun. Your Kentucky Wildcats, they'll be in the morning session on the final day on Thursday.
Saving the best for last.
Give us a little briefing of what to expect from Kentucky football this year.
They're not going to be good. I'll just tell you that right now. They have decent pieces. Like I like Kendrick Law coming in from Alabama, who's
right.
A speed threat.
Good player.
Good player. Has to work on his hands a little bit, but he's only here for, I think he's a redshirt junior. So maximum of 2 years.
Yeah.
I really like the running back room. They bring in Dante Dowdle from Nebraska. Jason Patterson was still there.
Do they still have that NC State transfer? Carnbay?
No. I think he graduated.
I really liked him when he was with he was with NC State.
Yeah.
He just never turned anything.
I really like Jamarian Wilcox, who will probably get like the 3rd running back snaps this year, but he's a redshirt sophomore. He's really, really fast. But as far as the quarterback situation, you bring in Zach Calzada, who is not accustomed to success in the SEC. Started at A&M, transferred over to Cam Ward University, and came back. Now is at Kentucky. I'm not a huge fan of the quarterback room. Cutter Boley, I guess, who is the greatest quarterback of all time, according to Parker Kelly.
Some will say
he's a prospect to look at, but I don't think he'll make any moves. The offensive line is going to be abysmal as usual.
Offensive line play is just, it's so tough to get good offensive linemen in college. Like, look at the NFL. There are not enough good offensive linemen to build 32 starting offensive lines. College is even worse because all the best offensive lines are going to go to the best schools. Like, look at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
They just paid that guy $5 million as a 17-year-old.
Yeah. Now, one thing I think Kentucky has going for it is it's going to be a solid defense. You got key pieces, and, you bring in Marquise Humphrey Grace, transfer. I'm blanking on where he's from, but you have good linebackers in Alex Safari and DJ Waller. Your secondary is good with Jonquise Hardaway. They're going to have a good defense. But in the SEC, it's not about having a good defense. It's about who could score more points. And I feel like the offenses in the SEC are just so much better than in any other conference. And that's hard for even a good defense to stack up against. So I don't know. I'm feeling 4 to 5 wins this year.
Yeah, it's tough.
This is the year, man. This is the year, boys. As Dustin in Hopkinsville says, this is the year we fire Stoops.
He's putting out a full Kentucky preview on the text line right now. Very good insight from Dustin from Hopkinsville. 9064 with a very hot take on our text line. He says he'll bet John Mateer from Oklahoma and Austin Simmons from Ole Miss will both end up being higher in the Heisman voting than everyone we just listed.
Whoa.
That's a 10. That's a 10 on the boldness scale.
I mean, we just listed off basically the consensus top 6 to 8 quarterbacks. He says Sellers put up a whopping 3 points at home against Ole Miss. Let's pump the brakes. I get it. I think Lenore Sellers is fun to watch, and that's but he's a good player. And then Drew Aller, he says, ain't no Big Ten team ever going to put up the offensive numbers needed. I don't care if Penn State goes undefeated. Aller.
But Penn State plays such a schedule where they can go 10-2.
And he's so experienced too.
Yeah.
And he makes some throws that make you go, wow.
He's gonna get some love.
I think Aller will be good. I wouldn't pick Aller to win the Heisman. I think if I had to pick 2 right now, Klubnik and Nussmeier would be the 2 that I'm keeping my eye on.
I think I'd agree with you, but I love Lagway.
Lagway, Sellers, Manning.
Yeah.
They're all in that conversation too. But I do like that he brought up Mateer and Simmons. Simmons, I don't know a ton about him at Ole Miss, but Mateer I know was really good with Washington State. And Oklahoma, that's a program that needs a jolt of energy. And Parker, you said they brought in his offensive coordinator and his quarterbacks coach?
Yes, Ben Arbuckle, and then I can't remember the name of the quarterback
What
coach.
if it's like a Vanderbilt thing where Vandy just imported a bunch of New Mexico State guys and then ended up working out? Maybe that's what Oklahoma needed.
I think it is. I mean, it's literally the same offense. John Mateer does not have to learn a different offense.
I really like John Mateer, though. I think
he was great. But the problem is not a lot of people watched him at Washington State, so they don't really know who he is. But
that's good for him.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
That's good for him from a film perspective.
Right.
Not a lot of people know what you can do, so go out and show them.
As always, it's going to be a fun year in the SEC. And again, SEC Media Days are coming up next week. Make sure to keep it tuned right here on 102.5 The Game for all your updates. There's so much competition at the top. Like, odds are it's going to be Texas or Georgia or Alabama who wins the SEC.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of teams lurking.
Yeah, there's these secondary teams that are just
LSU, Florida, South Carolina. Florida is an interesting one to me because I think Billy Napier saved his job by putting DJ Lagway in and giving the little spark of like, oh man, maybe he just needed to find a quarterback.
I mean, I never thought that Graham Mertz was just, insanely talented.
I don't know what it is about Wisconsin, but Wisconsin quarterbacks just are historically awful going back to, I guess, when Russell Wilson was there.
Yeah.
Like every year it feels like they have these guys who are moderately highly recruited and they just forget how to throw the forward pass.
Maybe that's something they need to look into instead of jumping around, jump up and get down.
I'm excited for the SEC this year. And I think Florida is one of the wild cards there because they could either be in the college football playoff or be firing Billy Napier at the end of the year. I don't think they can go 6-6 and feel good about that.
Would you put him on the hot seat still?
If they're not good this year, like if they're a 6 or 7 win team, I think so.
I think I agree with you.
I think
what about Shane Beamer?
No, Beamer I think saved himself last year.
Yeah, with Sellers.
Unless they go if they miss a bowl this year, I think he could get fired. But I think if they're just average, they'll give him at least one more year.
I agree.
Unless there's a mass exodus from his team and like Sellers, Stewart all transfer and he loses all those recruits he's brought in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Long way to go until football season. Still are about 6 weeks away, but it's starting to feel closer. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. SEC Media Days coming up next week in Atlanta. When we come back, it's time for our final game.
Come on,
Where
America.
Are they now this week?
We need your help.
Connor has been shut out this week. Can he get on the board
We need
to
a
wrap it
miracle
up.
run here.
Parker Kelly will host Me versus Connor and Where Are They Now? Coming up next here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Final hour on this Thursday. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. And we are always presented by Southern Bank of Tennessee, your bank for small business. It is that time.
Oh, yes.
I hope Nick Frazier and Big Joe Dubin are listening, because we're about to play America's new favorite game show.
Yeah. And I'm very nervous because this is a must win.
Connor Newt's been shut out this week. We've been playing Where Are They Now at 5 o'clock every day this week. So far, Parker has beaten him twice. I have beaten him once. Parker is hosting today. Can Connor finally get on the board? It is time.
If text line would like to provide me with motivational words, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, he needs America behind him today. It is now time for the final edition of the week.
Wait, buy me a little bit more time. I forgot to pull up Family Feud.
Okay. We need the music. This game is nothing without the Family Feud
This
music.
gives you more time to give me motivational pep talks.
Yes.
If anyone wants to call in, that'd be great.
I'll reiterate the rules while we pull up the Family Feud music. So, 5 players, current. They still have to be active. Parker is going to read them off. These are going to be players that you know, but maybe don't know where they ended up.
Hopefully.
The goal is...
Hopefully he didn't just make a complete gauntlet of deep cuts no one's ever heard of.
The goal is for me and Connor to guess where these players are playing. It is 1 point for guessing the correct league that they are in. 2 points additionally if you can guess what team they're on. The first 3 have to be in North America somewhere. The last 2 have to be...
Take that call, Parker.
The last 2 can be anywhere around the country or around the world.
Hold on. It looks like I got a caller here to give me a pep talk.
If it is someone to give him a pep talk, we will put him on.
I'm trying to listen into the conversation, but I realize that's really bad radio.
We do have some motivational words on our
It was not
text
a
line.
motivational call. It was actually a Medcare spam call.
Gotcha.
That's close.
Close
That's
enough.
close.
You should have put it on the air.
They're going to provide you Medcare if you don't win.
If I don't win?
If you don't win, because you'll need it, because you go over for the week.
Nevada Josh says, get her done.
Oh, that's all I need.
Matt from Camden says, good luck, don't choke.
Well, I've already choked all week, so.
And Dustin from Hopkinsville says the Savannah Bananas would beat Stoops Cats in a blowout at the half. With
that's pissed me off for greatness. Let's go.
Let's get
Let's
to
go.
this week's final edition of Where Are They Now? Woo!
All right, gentlemen, are we ready?
Yeah, I just broke the sound barrier. With
I'm
that woo.
ready.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. First player on this list, Drew Timme, former Gonzaga Bulldogs basketball player.
Man,
Where is he now?
Jimmy.
I hope this was your gimme for Connor, because I actually don't know this.
I'm ready, pal.
This is a good one. This is throwing Connor a bone.
I know.
So
I already
he
know
looks
it.
ready. He looks ready.
I know it.
Jake's taking a little bit more time thinking.
All right, I'm in.
All right, Jake, why don't you give your answer first?
All right. I have that he is in the NBA playing for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay, Connor.
He is in the NBA playing for the Brooklyn Nets.
Connor!
Bang!
3-0 lead for
3-1,
Mr.
3-1.
Newt.
3-1.
Oh,
He
I'm
got the
sorry,
lead.
I'm
I
sorry.
get
I'm
the
sorry.
point.
Yep, that's true.
All right.
Okay.
I'm down now. It's
Next
okay.
player. This is kind of a deep cut, but both of you will know who this is. Chad Kelly, former Ole Miss quarterback.
MCC.
Chad Kelly.
I'm going to go with Old Faithful here.
I thought this would be a good one. I really feel good about this list.
I'm going to go with Old Faithful because I don't actually know.
The last one will be the hardest one, just a heads up.
All right. I'm in. Who goes? Connor, you go first.
Connor will go first.
Mr. Chad Kelly. Is that a relative of yours?
No,
Okay.
Spelled differently.
actually not.
Okay.
Hey, thank you.
He's
He
in the
knows.
CFL for the Toronto Argonauts.
Jake.
I will go. He's in the UFL for the Houston Roughnecks.
Man, Connor is on a roll right now.
Holy hell, did I get it?
Yes. CFL
Perfectly?
For the, yep.
Ah!
For the Toronto
I'm getting
Argonauts.
blown out.
Man, look at he's come
6'1".
out of the gates, guns a blazing. Baby.
God bless you, Nevada Josh.
Don't ever push Connor Newton to a corner.
No one backs baby into a corner. No one.
Okay, third person on the list, Curtis Rourke,
Oh,
former Indiana quarterback as of last year.
yes.
He's on.
I'm trying to think if he got drafted or not.
I don't know if he did. This is so tough. Actually, I think I might know this. All right, I think I'm ready.
Okay,
You got it?
Jake, you go first.
Is he in the NFL playing? Well, I guess you can't tell me.
Actually, guess if you think he got drafted, predict which round. Or
Oh,
say
I can't say which
round.
round, but I know. I think I know the team.
Okay.
Is he playing for the San Francisco 49ers?
Connor?
I wrote the same thing.
Yes.
Man,
Curtis Rourke was a
I
seventh
thought
round
I
draft
thought I
pick.
finally got an edge.
He was a 7th round draft pick by the San Francisco 49ers. So you each get 3 for that one?
Yeah.
Wow. Connor's at 9.
Connor's 3 for 3.
I'm setting records
He's
here,
looking
folks.
for the first
I
ever.
think that was the previous high. It was
I think 9
points.
was the previous high. So yeah,
No, I'm not going to get any of the.
You're
for the
looking
rest of the
for
time.
a perfect game.
All right. These last 2 are going to be pretty tough.
Okay.
I have
tough.
to. I have to get both of them to win
Yes.
on the money.
And
okay.
I doubt that you will do
I
that.
doubt it too. Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, John Fulkerson, former Tennessee basketball player.
Ah,
No idea.
my grandfather had a nickname for him that I cannot say over the air.
I can
I
imagine what
think
it
you know what
was.
it
I'm
is.
sure. Considering you were a Kentucky basketball family.
All right, you go first this time, Connor.
I've been bitten by the soccer teams that apparently have basketball teams as well. So I'm going to go in Spain for FC Barcelona.
I hate you. I said the
Jake?
exact same thing.
Okay. Neither of you are right.
Okay.
He is active. He is playing overseas in the Polish basketball league for the Dziki Warsaw.
That was the other one I was thinking of. Man,
No, you weren't.
All right. This
Warsaw. It was on the tip of my tongue.
yeah. I told you this is going to be the toughest
It's
one.
right up there with the Manly Sea Eagles.
This
All
is
right,
going to
so I
be
already
the toughest
lost.
one.
Connor wins, but yeah, we'll do this one for fun.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yep.
Are we sure?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Aye, Captain.
Jordan Lynch, former Northern Illinois quarterback and Heisman Trophy finalist. Where is Jordan Lynch today?
Okay.
I see. I'm wondering, just because I know
This is kind of tricky.
that's what I'm thinking.
Should I give a hint?
No,
I think
I'm
no.
I'm going off the rails on this one.
Oh, I got nothing to lose. I've already won, so I'm just sending
yeah.
it.
I guess you can't go wrong with that. Okay, I'm in. Do I go first?
Sure.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I got to come up with a team name first.
Oh yeah, I
Hold
just
on.
had to come up with one too.
Hold on. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get creative here.
The Shanghai Sharks.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Oh,
Okay, I'll go.
You're talking to Connor.
I'm gonna say he's playing in Japan because I did find out that Tyler Kolka, for the Nashville Cats played in Japan. So I know there is pro football in Japan, and I'm gonna say he's playing because every professional team overseas is called the Tigers, the Tokyo Rainbow Tigers.
I'm realizing I contradict myself in my writings. I wrote Japanese AF1, and for the team, I wrote China Pandas.
Neither of you are nowhere, not even in the ballpark.
Really?
Not even in the ballpark. So I'm going to give you a lifeline. Okay.
I don't know if we can take it.
No, you can. He's not active. He is coaching. Okay.
Oh.
I feel like I should give the level.
Yeah, sure.
He's coaching high school football. If you can guess the state, I will award 4 points.
4 points doesn't win it for me, but I will go Minnesota.
You got to
Okay.
say it like Joe Biden.
Minnesota.
No, he goes, Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
I'll say Illinois.
It is Illinois.
Wow.
Look at that. Okay, so 13
See ya.
points for Connor?
It's a record.
That is a record.
That'll never be done
See,
again.
we were doubting Connor so much, and he set a new career high.
That was a record with a throw in at the end. So with an asterisk next to it.
I won't take the 4 points.
I can't believe
I'll take the 9.
I just got run out of the studio. Wow. That one hurts, but it'll make us better in the long run.
Yeah.
How was that list? I felt really good
That
about
was
that
good.
list.
That was
deep
good.
cut.
I felt really good about that list.
I
That
feel
was-
good because You people, you text line people made this happen.
Yeah. You got 4 people saying that you could do it, and that was enough to get you the win.
I would have been happy with one. Dylan in Antioch says he could have sworn that Curtis, or who was the last one?
Jordan Lynch.
Jordan Lynch.
Yeah, he could have sworn he was on the Serbia Sasquatch.
Right. The Serbia Sasquatch in the country of Senegal.
He's coaching
No,
at
it was Siberia.
He's
right.
coaching
Sorry.
He's coaching at Mount Carmel High School in Illinois, which is
Wow.
in Chicago.
Oh, I almost went there.
Yeah.
I
I
know
was
you did.
I was at least in the Midwest. All right, Connor wins. Connor's on the board in Where Are They Now? That'll do it for Where Are They Now this week. But if you like that, we're considering playing it next week too.
With D-Mace.
With D-Mace and
TD.
TD.
That would be fun. That would be a fun one.
We'll see. We'll gauge their interest in it. But if not, Force Company returns on July 26th. And we will continue to play that. Connor will get to host that one. It'll be me versus Dr. Crane. So just a couple weeks until Force Company is back on Saturdays.
I mean, this is the best 1-in-3 feeling I've ever had in my life.
Hey, you just need the one that keeps you coming back.
I mean, that was
Jake, is this your first loss?
It is my first loss.
This is
I was
first
2-0.
loss.
Yeah.
It's an honor to hand him that. He said to me off the air, he said, "May the best man win." And I said, "Sir, I plan to."
Yeah.
So
Connor gets the win. Connor's
Good
on the
game, sir.
board,
Good
and
game.
he takes the crown of Where Are They Now out of the week. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you would like to text or call. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. When we come back, there was a very interesting comment made on Chris Long's podcast, and I wanted to get into it, and it gave me a fun question to finish up our week here on Stillman & Company. We'll get to that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
I know we fear no man, but hypothetically, who would we fear if we feared a man?
Bro, I'm so mad I changed my mind.
You just were going to say Jeffrey Simmons.
I was going to go Jeffrey Simmons, bro. He sat next to me at a Dallas Mavericks game. He's a scary human, bro.
Brother, he shook my hand and my forearm disappeared.
We talked about Jeffrey Simmons earlier in the week, and when he was named top 4 defensive tackle in the league. And I saw this clip the other day. I thought it was funny because, you know, Jeffrey Simmons, it does feel like there is a much different national feeling about Jeffrey Simmons and view of Jeffrey Simmons than what he's felt about locally.
I can speak personally on Jeffrey Simmons being a scary man because I had an encounter with him on accident. Many of you know that I'm just going to out myself. I don't really care. Many of you know that he went after a media member.
Yeah. Last year during training camp.
Guess who, when he came out of the locker room asking where said media member was, guess who was the one who pointed in that direction?
I'm going to guess it wasn't me because we were both out there that day, right? Or no, it was you. It was just you.
It was me. It was me.
Yeah. Now, Jeffrey Simmons is a big man, and I can understand why. It's funny because you can't see it, obviously. That's just the audio. But Ryan Clark does put up a clip, a piece of paper that says Saquon on it. And he goes, you know what? I changed my mind, but I was going to go Jeffrey Simmons. So both Ryan Clark and Chris Long were going to say Jeffrey Simmons is the scariest man in the NFL.
I mean, Ryan Clark was kind of scary for a different reason because he is widely considered to be one of the dirtiest players in NFL history.
Very true. I completely forgot to tell everyone where that was from. That was the Greenlight podcast, Chris Long's podcast, where that was from.
We like Chris Long.
I do like Chris Long, except he's a Wahoo.
Oh,
yeah.
Those are weird people, aren't they?
They are.
I still find it hilarious that you just hate Virginia so much because I just don't. Growing up in the South, I don't really think of Virginia like that.
I was brainwashed from a young age.
He's the only person I know that just hates Virginia basketball.
I'm the Grinch. I hate
and
the
football
Hoos
and everything.
Yeah.
What is a Wahoo? Explain that.
I don't
Do you
know. They're the Cavaliers. I actually don't know why they're called the Wahoos, but
might just be I don't know, just a thing.
They're.
Thing
I mean,
they do.
What's a Hokie? Is it a bird?
I am.
You're also a loser.
We get shirts that say that freshman orientation. What's a Hokie? I am. I believe so. It's Virginia Tech's mascot used to be the Gobblers, and
they should have kept
Gobblers.
They were the Gobblers.
Should have kept that.
They were the fighting Gobblers, and there was somebody in the Corps, I think, yelled during the fight song "Hokie, Hokie, Hokie High," and that's how it became. So it's just kind of a random noise.
Oh,
it's random.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like a turkey?
It's a turkey. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's I get asked that all the time. What's a Hokie?
I am. Did they tell you to say that?
Yeah. No, that is what you're told. That's what you're told to say as a Virginia Tech student is I am. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. The clip in question made me ask, who is the scariest man in sports? The scariest person in sports, if you will.
On what level?
Just
physical specimen.
Take it wherever you want.
You don't want to give me that power.
Maybe not wherever you want. Because there are some options out there. Let's say just presence, intimidation factor. Like,
I have a good one.
If you ran into some, who would you least want to fight? I think would.
Who would I want to fight?
Who would you least want to fight?
John Jones.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take combat fighters out of this.
Okay.
Because they actually
that seems like a given.
They actually do hit people for a living. But in terms of like actual football, basketball, baseball, hockey, who is the scariest man in sports?
I don't know if we could classify him as in sports anymore because he's no longer active. But Aaron Donald is freaking terrifying.
Yeah, Aaron Donald, I think, would definitely qualify. That dude is massive, but somehow also just ripped. He's just shredded.
He is terrifying. Like, he would take my head off in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett's the same way.
Yeah.
Have
Myles
you seen
Garrett,
that man?
Yeah.
Dunk a basketball?
Yeah. Myles Garrett, I think, is a good answer, especially with what we saw, the whole Mason Rudolph thing, which I don't know. I don't know if you can.
I knew it was going this way, and that's why I had to stop you.
You can't take Mason Rudolph and say, "Oh my God, We got two very similar texts that just came in.
I think we should read one.
No, we're not reading those.
I mean, we could say it.
I
Just
mean,
not Deshaun Watson and Justin Tucker are very scary individuals, but not for the physical aspect.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah.
all we'll say on
okay,
that one.
moving
we
on.
got texts right back to back, literally from. You know what? We won't out them either. I think Myles Garrett is a great answer.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he swung the helmet, but that's a guy I would not want to get into a fight with.
I'm trying to think of other sports that aren't football, because football is easy.
Football's easy. Hockey, honestly, if I had to pick one sport not to fight somebody, I know the football players are bigger, but those hockey players,
Matt
that-
Rempe.
yeah, there you go. That's a
They'll
good
get
one.
down and dirty.
Yeah, I'm trying. Like,
Basketball, honestly, I'd say LeBron.
yeah, LeBron, that's a big dude.
So what was that
Anthony
video?
Edwards.
What was that video going around of the guy that was on the golf course and got absolutely
Yeah, he got
destroyed by a hockey player?
thrown. Yeah, Chad just said that. If you're a drunk golfer, then the answer is Nick Tarnowski.
Yeah, I
who-
would not want to fight Nick Tarnowski.
You know who he's retired now? Zdeno Chara. He
Mm.
wasn't a huge fighter, I don't think, but he was just a massive human being.
Aaron Judge,
Aaron
Aaron
Judge doesn't feel like he's a fighter.
but he's still a ginormous man.
I think he's a lover. I think you could give him a hug and he'd hug you back.
Yeah, he doesn't
You can
feel like
try that out and let us know how.
Yeah,
it
let
goes.
us know. You go up, try and hug Aaron Judge. I don't think he is a fighter.
Oh my God, we
Um,
got a hokey. That is, he's explaining why Wahoos are called Wahoos.
Oh, where?
Neely on our text line.
Oh, yeah.
I'll read it. The song is most frequently heard during the home football games
Oh,
as UVA fans stand and sway. This is a whole essay. I don't really want to. They say Wahoo in the song
Okay.
in their fights.
Well, the song they sway to is Auld Lang Syne. They sway back and forth after touchdowns. So they do it like maybe once a week. Lots of good answers on our text line here. Our question here towards the end of our show, we're wrapping up our week here, is who is the scariest person in sports? Another guy who in hockey that I think could qualify, even though he's not a big guy, Tom Wilson.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a guy you just don't want to mess with him.
Every hockey team has like a goon.
An enforcer.
Yeah. I call
Yeah,
them goons.
the Goon movie. The movie Goon is a good one too. I don't know if you've ever seen
I've
that.
never
Can
seen
I go outside of sports for a second?
Yeah.
Reacher, Alan Ritchson.
Oh yeah, that guy.
You don't
yeah,
want to mess
Thad
with him.
Castle.
Don't want to mess with him.
See,
Thad-
you are not the only one that's been telling me to watch that show. I think I just
It's a
need to do it.
fantastic show. You
It-
definitely need to watch.
I've never watched it, but seeing some of the previews and seeing Alan Ritchson play somebody other than Thad Castle is really funny to me because he's one of those players or actors who they are that one role.
Your coach just got mentioned, pal.
Brent Pry.
No.
Different one. I'll tell you later.
Lots of good answers on the text line. Travis says Brian Cushing. That's a
Oh,
good
I know
one.
where you're going
Yeah,
with
that's a guy who I wouldn't want to get into a fight with. Nevada Josh says Larry Allen and Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic, I wouldn't want to mess with him because his brothers are scary. Have you seen Nikola Jokic's
Yeah.
brothers? Like those guys, those are big Serbian men that I would not want
They'd
to
ride in on
mess with.
horses and then just gang up on you.
Right. I'm not messing with Nikola Jokic.
Tim Tebow.
Tim
Tim-
Tebow wouldn't fight you.
No,
No, he
Tim,
wouldn't,
Tim
but, like,
Tebow.
He'd pray for you.
He would do that.
He'd pray with you.
Nevada Josh says Ray Lewis.
I'm surprised Nevada Josh isn't saying Max Crosby. You're telling me that man isn't scary?
What about Ray Rice?
Okay.
Kareem Hunt.
All right. 615-737-1025.
If you take out
We're
Kareem
keeping-
Hunt's legs,
We're
you'll be all
keeping
right.
this within the law of like scary. Who is the scariest player in sports within the law? I think that's fair because like
legally.
Billy from Bellevue just said Ben Roethlisberger, and like that's not the type of scary we're looking for here. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Who is the scariest person in sports? The texters
Ben
are
Roethlisberger.
flying in. We will get to some of those coming up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, let's go. Get in here. Get in here right now. Get in here. Hey, we got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives. 30 minutes for the rest of our lives. That's our bet on the first half. It ain't happening. We get the ball. I promise you one thing. We're going to hit somebody, and we're taking it down the field for a touchdown. I guarantee you that. Guarantee. Look at me. Let's go. We got 30 minutes. Let's go. For the rest of our lives. For the rest of our lives. Let's go. Let's go. Lock arms. Hey, we are team.
It's true. We got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives here. We're finishing strong on the week.
Sort of.
Yeah.
We're kind of just phoning it in right now.
I mean, we're letting the texters do the work for us. Jay Kleiman, Connor Newt, in for Jared Stillman today.
Some of you need to reel it in a little
We
bit.
have asked the question, who is the scariest person in sports? Because Ryan Clark and Chris Long on Chris Long's podcast said that Jeffrey Simmons is the scariest player in the NFL, like guy to walk up to. And man, the text line has gone off the rails.
I mean,
I still can't get over Ben Roethlisberger.
I mean,
that was just mean.
Someone said John Murray.
I mean, Jason Clarksville, yours is really funny. I'm not going to read that on the air. I'm sorry. I don't want to get in trouble. One that I saw, Gino said Ndamukong Suh. That's a great one.
That's a good one.
He says nothing is off limits for that guy. I mean, he would stomp on you after you got up or before you got up. Was it Aaron Rodgers? He stomped on his leg.
Yes.
That guy, but he's a scary guy.
One more time, the Virginia Tech linebacker. Issei.
No, we're not talking about no one will understand that either. NHL Ryan Reeves 0949 says, guys, an absolute menace. That's for sure. Yeah, that one's good. Staying in hockey 7042 says Radko Gudas. I think I've seen him get into a ton of fights.
Oh
too.
yeah. Someone said Grayson Allen. I could beat Grayson Allen.
Yeah, Grayson Allen's not scary. He's just annoying.
I could, like, if I kicked him in the face, I think he'd leave me alone.
One that I'm really surprised no one has said, being that we are in Nashville, no one said Derrick Henry. Like,
oh yeah,
Derrick Henry's a dude that if you
how did we not say that?
Right, like
I feel like that was a given though. Like,
and there's an outside chance that I've just
don't read John's. I'll explain that one to you later.
Outside chance that I just missed it and somebody did say Derrick Henry because we got a lot of texts on this, but yeah, Henry would be up there. James Harrison. That dude is.
Can I give you a baseball one?
Yeah. Nolan
Ryan.
Yeah. That's it. Randy Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big guy.
Bo Jackson.
Yeah. Bo Jackson. 9040 says Brian Urlacher. Greg A with the Preds pull here. I'm not fighting Shea Weber. I've seen what happens to people who tried it on the ice.
Yes.
That is a good one.
Big, sexy Michael McCarron.
Who said Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins. If you're in a Great Clips, if you're a Great Clips stylist, you don't want to see Kirk
screw
Cousins
up his
coming.
hairline.
I don't know about you, but I'm not fighting Dan Campbell.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah, he'll bite your kneecap. That's a good one.
You know who I would fight for? John Gruden.
John Gruden.
Nevada Josh says I'm 5'7", so they all scare me, even Caitlin Clark. That's a good one. Joey from Bellevue. He just texted in. Make sure you guys keep texting in these scary people. Somebody like 4 people have texted in Andre the Giant, and I do want to say that, like, even though he was a wrestler,
yeah.
Which I don't know if I want to include wrestlers because that's kind of the bit is that they all look scary.
Yeah,
but that would definitely be one.
I mean, that dude was 7. A lot.
Who was the guy in Game of Thrones that was really big?
Oh, the Mountain.
Yep.
What? He's an actual like bodybuilder.
The Liver King?
No, he looks kind of like him. Have you ever seen Game of Thrones?
No.
Yeah, the Mountain. He's like an Eastern European bodybuilder, but he's massive. I mean, tells you why.
Chad said Nia Jax. Nia Jax was the wrestler that came in here one time with Tiffany Stratton. She's massive.
Oh, right. I do remember that.
Really,
yeah.
really nice lady.
Yeah, she came in for Chasing Big Joe.
She was super nice.
Nevada Josh says Shaq. Shaq is too nice. And Dylan and Antioch says the same thing. Derrick Henry seems too nice. Maybe that's why we're not saying because they don't give off a menacing feeling. Shaq is kind of the same way, but I would not want to fight Shaq. Billy from Bellevue. Second time this week that Sean Oakman's being brought up. Sean Oakman, those clips of Sean or the picture of Sean Oakman standing at the coin toss is iconic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that dude is massive. I hate that he never ended up being anything. Yes, Hafthor Bjornsson. That's the name of the mountain.
That's the guy?
I think. Yeah.
I have to look up the mountain now.
Yeah, look him up. The Mountain, Game of Thrones.
Big guy.
He is a massive man. Joey from Bellevue says Kyle Vandenbosch with the red contacts. Yeah, that's.
I would not want to.
Yeah, you would not want to fight.
I would not want to fight that guy.
DeForest Buckner, Dustin from Brewston says DeForest Buckner
That's
is
a
a
good
big
one.
guy.
That's a good one.
Greg Roberts says, let's do who in sports could you beat up?
Oh, I could do that.
I got a better one.
Chet Holmgren.
I got a better one. If there was 100K on the line, could you beat Angel Reese in a 1v1?
No, because she's
Angel Reese is she is a much better basketball player than any common person. And she's also like 6'2". Maybe more than that.
What
Angel,
about Connor? You don't think you could beat Angel Reese in a 1v1 basketball game?
she could post me up, but I think she'd just miss at the rim. But I would do the same thing.
she wouldn't miss at the rim against you, though.
Yeah.
Like,
She couldn't dunk on me, though. That's for sure.
no. Angel Reese, like, having the conversation of like the DeMarcus Cousins, Brittany Griner conversation, like a pro basketball player against a pro women's basketball player, the man's gonna win. But
That's another one.
a pro woman,
DeMarcus Cousins.
yeah, DeMarcus Cousins, I wouldn't want to fight. But a pro women's basketball player against any common man who's not like 6'10" is going to lose.
Yeah.
Sure. Though the woman would win that 100%. Tommy did bring up Angel Reese. She'll hit you with a brick. He says Jordan Mailata too. That's a good one. But Jordan Mailata he falls in that Derrick Henry category where it's like he seems too nice.
Yeah.
Like he's singing on those Christmas Carol albums.
Yeah.
Until he's on the field. Then he's a mean guy.
I don't want to line up against him,
Yeah,
but it doesn't
yeah.
seem like he's a guy who'd get into a fight with you.
Who was the one Tennessee player that in the 2022 Alabama game just yacked on the field? And then used it as an intimidation.
It was
thing? It was a lineman.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's escaping me. I think it wasn't Cooper Mays. Give me 1 sec.
Nevada Josh says Antonio Brown.
For a different reason.
Antonio Brown, I would be scared to fight him, not because of like size, but just like I think he's insane.
Chandler
like-
Jones is the same
Right.
way.
Yeah. Well, Chandler Jones, I wouldn't want to fight him because of his size
Yeah.
too. Somebody who I don't, again, very nice guy. I wouldn't want to fight new Taylor Lewan. Like that dude looks,
Yeah.
he's like all muscle now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to fight old Taylor Lewan either.
I'll give you
But-
one. I mean, he's not a good player, and we crap on him all the time. Traylon Burks is a big dude.
Yeah. Traylon Burks is a big dude.
Jeremiah Crawford.
even-
That's the lineman that threw up.
Oh,
during the
yeah.
game.
Yeah. Christian Skelton beat you to it.
Traylon Burks, even when Jared body shamed him last year, he's still a ripped man out there on the field.
Ripped is a little far fetched, but he is a big man.
That's it.
He's
I
a big
mean,
man.
I guess in NFL, but like in terms of the basic human
Yeah,
population,
compared to the
he is-
average person,
that
he's-
is that is a muscular man. Chad says Lawrence Taylor. I can't believe we hadn't gotten to
Yeah,
Lawrence Taylor
LT.
yet. Like that's a guy I wouldn't want to get in a fight with. Again,
Oh, the big guy from Kentucky,
Deion Walker.
Deion Walker,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Jalen Carter, two
Yeah.
guys.
I wouldn't want to fight any Georgia football player.
That's right.
I mean, as long as they don't you don't have to drive there. I think you'll be fine.
Or they don't drive you.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Again, we're wrapping up the show here. Chris Long and Ryan Clark on Chris Long's podcast, Greenlight, had the question of who is the scariest player in the NFL. They both said Jeffrey Simmons. And that might surprise some people. We kind of said Myles Garrett would be up there, but Big Jeff is a big dude. And we're going through who are the scariest people in sports. Great answers on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Some that we can read, some that we can't. But
And the ones we can't are hilarious.
yes, they're making us laugh. If we don't read your text on the air, just know that in between breaks, we are dying laughing at them because they are very good. But, you know, this is a family program here on Stillman and Company. Jared always keeps it PG.
Sure, he does.
Nah, he definitely doesn't have any sexual innuendos that he says.
615-737-1025. Last call for phones. Final segment coming up next. We will continue to get to your answers and we'll wrap up our week here on the program. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you on Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game. Final segment of the show. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly. Been a fun week filling in for Jared. Jared will be back tomorrow, usual time, 2 to 6. We'll get back to scariest people in sports because we do have some good answers on the text line to get to. But Austin texts in on our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and asks, is anyone going to bring up the insane hot take from yesterday's show about CJ2K having the greatest season for a running back in NFL history? I would like to just point out, I said that.
Yeah,
I
you
don't-
better take up for that.
I don't think it's insane. I'm not saying he 100% had the greatest season of a running back in NFL history, but no one else has ever had 2,500 yards from scrimmage in a season. And that was in a 16-game schedule. So I understand it's debatable for sure, but that season has to be put up there. 2,500 yards from scrimmage has never been done before. It hasn't been done in the 16 season since then.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. It's a take.
It's
and
a take,
debatable.
and it's debatable. I'm not saying 100%, but to call it insane feels a little
But
bit
you
over.
know
Jake
what?
has had most of the hot takes this week.
But
Yeah.
you know what? He was ready to defend that one, so I'm proud of him.
I'm ready to defend all my takes. The Dak one, I still will say that arguably, if Dak Prescott had the career he's had in Dallas with the Titans, arguably would be the best quarterback in franchise history.
Connor, have you had a hot take this week? You have. I just can't remember.
I've had a few. I said the Chargers would finish in the top 3 in all
Yeah.
total offense.
Okay. Yeah.
None to his level.
Yeah, I went.
Yeah.
I had a couple that went a little bit.
But
up there.
tomorrow's Fireball Hot Take Friday.
It is.
And I'm with Jared. So
That is true.
I may have to come up with something.
Yeah.
If he
Jared-
asks me.
Jared will be back tomorrow. I assume it'll be usual Fireball Hot Take Friday. Corey Curtis and maybe Chad Withrow.
Maybe.
The schedule's been off a little bit lately with the holiday and everything. But back to scariest people in sports. Again, we asked the question because Chris Long and Ryan Clark on the Greenlight podcast said that Jeffrey Simmons was the scariest man in the NFL. Chad with just a phenomenal string of texts here. He goes, Secretariat, I don't think I could beat up a horse. And then a couple minutes later, just morally.
No, I agree.
It's great. Yeah.
I don't think I could fight any animal morally. Like,
Well, that was a question on Force Company, right?
well, let me rephrase. Like, if you asked me to fight a dog, I don't think I could do it because it's morals.
Yeah.
I'm a dog person.
But I don't think I could beat up a horse morally or physically.
yeah, that's true. Especially like if you get behind it, things backdrop kicking you all the
Well,
way.
yeah, they got the strong legs.
Could you beat Ed the Zebra in a fight?
Why would you want to do that?
I don't know.
Now, why?
I didn't
Why
say
would
would
you wanna
you.
beat
I
up-
said could you.
I
I
actually
wouldn't wanna
don't
beat it up
think
a zebra.
so. Zebras can bite.
And give you rabies.
That's true. Patty Mack on our text line says the freak Javon Curse. That's a good one. You put him on your Mount Rushmore yesterday.
Hainsworth.
Yeah, Hainsworth. I
Just
don't
'cause
know if
he's-
I'd want to get into a fight
'Cause
with
he's
him.
crazy.
Yeah, that is true. Clinton Clarksville says Sue again. Yeah, and Dominican
Yeah,
Sue.
Sue.
That might be. Sue definitely deserves consideration for like one of the scariest guys ever.
Because he's psychotic.
Right. Like you wouldn't want to mess with him, not only because he's massive, but also because I don't know what he would do. I don't think there's a limit to.
I don't think he has a limit. I think he has voices in his head that talk to him and understand.
There you go. That's your one of your Newt's notes.
There you go.
Are you excited for SmackDown tomorrow?
I am. Adam Vingen and I are going. I don't know if Chase will be there. I know he's on vacation, but he's been talking about it a lot.
Yeah, I mean he's back. He'll be back on the show Monday, right?
Yes,
So,
but they'll be in Atlanta. So I don't know if he's coming back and then going back out. But I am excited. The Street Profits are coming. I'll give that away. The Street Profits are going to be here tomorrow morning. I will do an interview with them. So be on the lookout for that.
ring knowers.
It's going to be fun. Ring knowers, I'm trying to get people to pick it up for their show. I know Jared won't let me play it. But someone's got to want it. Come on.
Yeah. No,
This
I'm
is quality
I'd
content.
be excited to hear it, even though I'm not a huge wrestling guy.
They're going to be here. They're going to bring the belts.
Who's the scariest guy who will be at SmackDown tomorrow?
Oh, Jacob Fatu. He's like
Is he like a Samoan guy?
he's like an insane Samoan guy.
Gotcha.
Like he can do flips and stuff.
Yeah, that there is something about like the big Samoan guys, like that.
The Rock.
Right, The Rock. That's a guy I wouldn't want to get into a fight with.
No, I don't think he'd fight you though.
No.
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa. Yeah. Dylan Antioch says Richie Incognito is pretty crazy. Wasn't that disproven a couple months ago? Like, didn't it come out that Richie Incognito never really bullied anybody?
I think I saw that.
Right.
I think
was
you're
it,
right.
Was it Jason something?
Derulo.
Yeah, that's who was the other offensive lineman who it came out and everybody said that Richie Incognito bullied him, but then the guy came out and said that never really happened, and Richie Incognito took like a huge victory lap about how
I'm a nice guy.
right. Yeah, see, you guys tried to ruin my career, and guess what? I didn't do any of it.
DK Metcalf would be scary.
Both of Metcalf and AJ.
Yeah,
Both
the Ole Miss guys.
Though the picture of them in the weight room from a while back, those are some guys I wouldn't want to mess with.
Yeah. JC Latham's kind of scary. That is a big man. I interviewed him one time, and he's lost weight since then. So he's slimmed down, but he was about 365 when I talked to him. He's slimmed down since.
He's
at what,
good.
340 now?
He's looking really good. Really good.
I mean, I think safely you could say almost any NFL offensive or defensive lineman I would not want to ever end up in a fight with.
Yeah.
Those are like all athletes, especially though football and basketball, you don't really grasp how big these guys are on TV. But if you walk by any of them, you're like, oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, that's a big man.
They're a lot big. When I was at a Preds game a couple months ago in the Lexus Lounge, of course, it's right by the tunnel where they all walk out.
Right. Yeah.
Michael McCarron.
Yeah. Big sexy.
Is freaking massive.
Said that.
Yeah.
Did you?
Michael McCarron. Yeah.
Oh.
Big sexy.
Yeah. Big sexy. Big sexy. Scary.
Anybody else on the Titans that you wouldn't want that's kind of scary?
Bob Barker.
Bob Barker.
Here's
Happy
the thing.
Gilmore.
Femi Aladejo, really nice guy.
That's true.
I've talked to him
Femi's-
before. He's a really nice guy.
But that's a big dude.
he is a big man.
That dude's like
big man.
Maybe not from the ripped perspective.
No,
but-
oh no. From the rip perspective.
No,
definitely.
I was going a different one. DeAndre Sweat.
Oh,
yeah, that's true. Big Sweat. I don't know if I'd want to mess with him. I mean, again, any of the offensive, defensive linemen.
Oh, there's a guy from
Jarvis
Eastern
Brownlee
Kentucky too.
Jr. Like feels like he's just so
He
scrappy
in a street
Yeah.
fight.
Like,
You don't
that's-
want to see him in a street fight.
Yeah, Jason Martin. That was the name of the offensive lineman. But apparently, according to Dylan Antioch, I don't remember this, but I guess Richie Incognito beat up his own Lambo with a baseball bat. Interesting.
Have you seen the trailer for that movie with The Rock? He's playing a a UFC fighter.
Oh yeah.
Frazier would know more about this than I do, but it looks incredible.
Yeah. I do like the combat sports movies that are coming out. What was the Zac Efron one?
Iron Claw.
Yeah. That one's really good.
That was sad though.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the one with Jake Gyllenhaal called Southpaw? He was a
Oh,
boxer.
yes. Yeah, I have seen that.
That one was good. I
Yeah.
like that one.
All the females listening just turned off the radio because of Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
What he did to Taylor Swift.
You ever see $1 Million Baby?
$1 Million Baby?
Yeah.
I have not seen that one.
Boss baby?
We were concerned, Connor, that Robbie was going to look at the text line and be very confused over what's going on because of all of these texts of like all the scariest people you could find in the world, basically.
He's listening.
And Robbie is listening. So Robbie will at least have some sort of context when he opens the text line tomorrow of why Bob Barker is being sent in the same sentence as Kyle Vanden Bosch. So
The Price is Right, though.
I heard there's this guy named Bo that really scares Robbie. I don't know what that's about, but that's just something I heard. So
what a way to end the week. No, never mind. That'll do it for us. Been a really fun week, guys. Glad that we had the opportunity to fill in. Thanks to everybody out there listening. It's been a fun week. We've gotten to a lot of different stuff. Connor and I will be back later next week on the air,
Hopefully.
so keep an eye out for
Hopefully
that.
they have us back after the last
Yeah,
hour
that's
we just
true.
had.
This whole conversation might have just gone off the rails too far. But so much fun. Thanks everybody for listening. Jared will be back tomorrow at 2. Looking forward to that. For Connor Newt and Parker Kelly, I'm Jake Lyman signing off. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we will talk to you soon. Robbie and Rex Road coming up tomorrow at 6.